The preliminary round of the Chunin exams are underway, and the next opponents are already on the floor. Uzumaki Naruto vs Inuzuka Kiba. Hiya ha. It's like we've already won. So lucky, right Akamaru? Shut the hell up, mutt. In the center of the stage, there stands two boys squaring off, getting ready to fight. The first is a scruffy feral-looking kid named Kiba Inuzuka. He is hailed from the famed Inuzuka clan, known for their fierce beast-like taijutsu style, that becomes even more vicious with the addition of their canine partnerships. The second is a shorter boy dressed in a bright orange jumpsuit, with even brighter blonde hair and distinct whisker marks. His name is Naruto Uzumaki. He is an orphan and graduated dead last in the academy, but despite all this he still is a determined ninja, who never backs down, and isn't afraid of anything. Wait, what was that? Naruto always felt that he could push past anything in his life that was in his way as long as he stayed unwavering and true to his nindo. But today, Naruto had a feeling he was going to need more than that to be victorious. No one had to tell Naruto how bad off he was. He would admit himself that he sucked in a lot of ninja arts. His taijutsu was rough and chaotic, but no matter how much he practiced without a genuine teacher, something that some of the people at the academy weren't, to point out his flaws and correct his stances, he couldn't improve on that point much. His genjutsu was basically hopeless, because no matter how good his control became, his chakra was too large and dense to do anything worthwhile. His ninjutsu was non-existent other than the academy required ones and the Kage Bushin, and that's only barely true since he couldn't make a regular clone to save his life. His chakra control was terrible because of his stupidly large supply. Any exercise he did to help with that weren't producing any noticeable results. Naruto would go to the library to learn more things, but the selection of things a genin can read is low, plus he wasn't the biggest fan of books. The only thing Naruto really had going for him was his physical condition, but without a speed-focused training regimen, all he really gains from working out is durability, stamina, and power, which he already had a high amount of. That, combined with any unorthodox plans he came up with, was really the only way he got ahead in any fight he got in. Today was different though. The usual fountain of endless energy felt more like a stream that was fizzling up, and his chakra control always felt out of control, but now it felt like it was unable to be handled at all. Naruto had a pretty good idea that it was that snake freak seal that was messing up the little he did of going for him. Naruto was already tired from the forest of death as well, to the point where he didn't think he could even outlast Shikamaru in a fight. Naruto could forget about keeping up with Kiba, who always was right behind him and being the most energetic in the academy. Naruto knew he should have fixed his underwhelming skillets sooner, but he didn't have a lot of time to do anything before his sensei put his team in these dumbass exams. He thought he'd plenty of time to fix his problems after the disaster which was his last C rank, but not only was he wrong, he was dead wrong. Only a couple weeks after Wave and they are signed up for the Chunin exams. Naruto vowed to stop procrastinating and take his training more serious after this. Hopefully he wouldn't have to wait to get out of the hospital first. Up in the stands. Naruto! You better not lose to him! Yelled Sakura. Let's see how much you improved, thought Kakashi. Naruto mused Kurenai, sorry Kakashi, but he can't beat Kiba. That Naruto could never beat Kiba, said Ino. Hinata was conflicted about whether to cheer for her crush or her teammate. Most of the crowd felt that they already knew what the results were going to be, and they weren't going to be in favor for the blonde ninja. On the floor. Akamaru, stay out of this. I won't need you to defeat this idiot. Boasted Kiba. Don't get cocky. Yelled Naruto. The decision by Kiba to not include Akamaru should have made Naruto's confidence sour, and if his only problem was his chakra and energy, it would have, but unfortunately it's not. Ever since the fight between his clones and the AIM team, Naruto has been feeling weird. His movements were strange, and his coordination different. It's like something unconsciously about his body was out of whack, but Naruto had no clue what it was. Naruto was sure of one thing though, it was something he could have done without during this fight. I'll be nice, and end this in one punch, proclaimed the Inuzuka. TCH. Hey 8 Gecko, the proctor for the preliminary rounds, put one of his hands up. You may begin. The match was on. Don't get too comfy, Naruto, this will be over before you know it. Kiba said. Then he got in a crouch. On all fours. Imitation beast ninja art, 4 legs technique. Before Naruto's eyes, Kiba's appearance began to grow feral than he already was before, something which seemed akin to Naruto's own changes when he was influenced by the Kyuubi's chakra. After Kiba's transformation was complete, he immediately launched towards Naruto in a speed he couldn't hope to follow. Before Naruto knew it, Kiba was in front of him, and in prime position to attack. It's over. Kiba yelled, then he swung his clawed hands at Naruto's face. If you asked Naruto to explain what happened next, he wouldn't have been able to tell you. All he saw was Kiba directly in front of him, getting ready to strike, and the next thing he knew was he reacted and let his instincts take over, and now he was below Kiba, having ducked his swipe at him by a narrow margin. He dodged it. Fought Kiba and the spectators collectively. Naruto, deciding that it would be best to just go with what feels right, went with the flow, and quickly uppercut Kiba in his jaw. Naruto then, taking advantage of the Kiba's helpless state in the air, jumped up and landed a spinning kick into his stomach, launching his opponent back to the other side of the floor. Needless to say, everyone was stunned, and none more than Naruto himself. Up in the stands. How the hell did Naruto do that? It must be a trick, said Ino. Please, just because your teammates are lacking, don't think that applies to all of us. Sakura shot back. Sure, Naruto was annoying to Sakura at times, but he was still her teammate, and they went through a lot together. She would gladly root for him over anybody that wasn't on her team. Hell yeah, Naruto, make him eat dirt. He has definitely improved way past what I would have expected, thought Kakashi. I shouldn't be surprised though, experience is the best teacher a ninja can have. What the hell? Did that lazy ass actually turn out to be a good teacher? Wondered Kurenai. Whatever, it hardly matters, once Kiba and Akamaru get serious, Naruto is done for. The rest of the audience shared a look of shock or interest. It seems this match would play out differently than anyone had thought. On the floor. Naruto was just as amazed as everyone else. He never could move like that, and even if he could, he didn't think he would have been able pulled it off now. Also, Naruto felt that unlike the past few days, when he was just reacting instinctively, he felt normal, like nothing was like before his mind was fighting with his body, and now that he was listening to it, everything was right in the world. Naruto didn't know why this was happening, but he did know that he didn't have any plans on how he was going to win before. So he would do what he did best, wing it. Ugh. Lucky hit, it won't happen again. Kiba called out as he was getting up off the floor. He was noticeably wiping his mouth of blood, revealing just how hard he had been hit. Akamaru. Bark. Akamaru jumped at Naruto at the same time Kiba did, hoping to overwhelm any fluke sense of skill that Naruto just showed. They first started with a flurry of quick pounces, then started to come at Naruto with a barrage of hit-and-run attacks. But Naruto, to the surprise of absolutely everyone, avoided all solid connects. Kiba let up from his onslaught and backed away. I'll admit it to you, Naruto, you sure got better, but this is it. It ends now. Kiba said, pulling 2 red pills from his pocket. He gave 1 pill to Akamaru and he ate the second one. Akamaru turned an inflamed shade of red, then jumped on Kiba's back. Beast Effect Ninjutsu, Beast Human Bushin. Now, where previously only one Kiba and his dog was, there was 2 Kibas. One on the other's back. Getsuga. Both Kibas suddenly launched themselves at Naruto, twirling at impossible speeds. To Naruto it seemed like it was 2 miniature whirlwinds hurtling towards him. Naruto wasn't deterred though, he didn't know how far his new instinctive skills could take him, but he would keep pushing. Just before the attacks hit him, Naruto pushed himself into the air, narrowly avoiding their claws. The Fang duo didn't stop though, seeing a prime opportunity to attack while Naruto was stuck in the air. Naruto, seeing Kiba and Akamaru turning around to hit him again, flipped and twisted his body in the air at an angle, allowing him to maneuver between them without getting hit. Kiba and Akamaru landed back on the other side of the arena. Whatever, so you can do fancy moves, it doesn't matter. You can't keep this up forever, taunted Kiba. Privately, though he wouldn't admit it, he was a little put off by just how capable Naruto was turning out to be. Naruto knew he was right. He didn't perfectly avoid the last attack. His jumpsuit was ripped and some of his skin scratched. Also, since he was running on fumes, the injuries would only get worse. Naruto needed to come up with a plan, which made him thankful that he had a few things he used for pranks in his pouch. I didn't think I would have to use these, but I guess if the shoe fits. Naruto said, pulling out a stink bomb, and since you have such a sensitive nose, I guess the shoe is pretty snug right about now. Naruto reared his arm back, with the key to his victory in the palm of his hand. Eat this, Kiba! Shouted Naruto. Then he threw the bomb across the arena. And way over Kiba, with it only stopping its flight when it burst on the floor by the wall behind him. The entire room silently stared at the rising cloud of gas in the corner. Hee, oops, idiot, was the single thought shared by everyone. Ha 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 ha. Kiba started laughing, with tears in his eyes. Of course, only you could fuck up that bad, Naruto. Up in the stands. To mess up an advantage that bad. Kurenai said to herself. I guess Kakashi couldn't make the idiot any smarter. Naruto, why are you like this? Moaned Sakura with her face covered by her hands. I guess a loser will always be a loser, said Ino. She turned towards Shikamaru, only to see him lying down getting ready for a nap. Aren't you going to watch the rest of the match? No point, it's obvious how this is going to turn out. I guess it does seem like Kiba has this one in the bag. No, it's actually the opposite. What? What would make you say that? Sai Shikamaru turned away from her. It's too troublesome to explain. On the floor. Kiba finally calmed down from his laughing fit and got back in crouching position to attack again. Oh man, it's so over for you. You just blew your only chance to win, chuckled Kiba. I'm not done yet, I still have a few more, retorted Naruto. It doesn't matter how many you have, you won't be able to touch me with them. And with that, Kiba and Akamaru resumed their attack. Getsuga. What followed was the most extreme game of dodgeball ever played. Naruto dodging the canine duo, and Kiba and Akamaru dodging the stink bombs, allowing them all to hit the ground well away from where they were. The stink bombs all landed on the outer parts of the arena, leaving Kiba with plenty of room to work with. Naruto eventually ran out of bombs, only having about a dozen of them, bringing their little game to an end. He jumped back a little to give himself some breathing room. He was visibly taking harder and longer breaths. If I can't affect your smell, then I will try your sight, said Naruto. He then pulled out his only smoke bomb and threw it on the ground, covering the entire middle of the floor with smoke. Up in the stands, this was the guy that I was afraid would beat Kiba. What a joke, thought Kurenai. Don't tell me he forgot about Kiba's strong sense of smell. He was just trying to capitalize on it a second ago. On the floor. Idiot, did you forget my senses are better than the average Nin? There is no way you can hide from me in this smoke. I will just sniff you out, said Kiba. He then started sniffing the air to pinpoint Naruto's location. Too easy. Getsuga. Kiba launched in the smoke with Akamaru in the direction of Naruto, and got a direct hit. After scoring a couple more blows, they tossed him up in the air, then drilled his body back into the earth, leaving a slight indent into it. As the smoke started to clear up, all that anyone could see was Naruto seemingly unconscious at the bottom of a small crater. Proctor, call the match. He won't be getting up anytime soon, said Kiba. Hayate examined Naruto's body for a few seconds, then he put his hands up. Winner by Nako dash over here, muttboy, cried Naruto, appearing out of nowhere, but before Kiba could turn and look at him, Naruto slid underneath him and kicked his feet off the ground, just as the body in the crater puffed into smoke. Na dash then another Naruto appeared, and kicked Kiba away while he was in mid-fall. Are you dash? Then 2 more appeared where Kiba was thrown, and kicked hip upwards. 2. Finally a final Naruto Kamen jumped above Kiba, and delivered a spinning axe kick to his head, sending Kiba shooting towards the ground. Uzumaki Rundan. Kiba was now the one that was at the bottom of his own crater, but this time the victim was actually unconscious. Bad Doggy taunted Naruto, standing over Kiba's immobile body. Up in the stands. I can't believe it, voiced Kurenai. Kakashi's brat actually won? You will learn quickly that Naruto was never one to go down easy, Kakashi thought. Even through the mask there was obvious pride on his face. Yeah, Naruto, I knew you could do it, yelled Sakura down to the floor. Wait, hold up. I don't get it. Kiba should have been able to smell out Naruto, right? The smoke shouldn't have blocked his nose. If it could, then he would have known earlier. Questioned Ino. Sigh, that was what I was trying to say earlier. Naruto didn't miss his throw with his stink bombs, not the first or any of the ones after. What he was doing was creating zones on the floor where Kiba wouldn't be able to smell anything but the odor from his bombs, so when he covered the arena in smoke he was able to place several clones in those areas without Kiba ever knowing. Naruto must have done a Kawarimi with a clone after Kiba hit him with his attack. Once switched he would be able to carry out his own retaliation without Kiba being prepared for it. Who knew Naruto could have done something that smart, but I guess if you look at the pranks he used to do, it isn't that surprising. Ino gave Shikamaru a surprised look, before changing to one of contemplation. I guess even Naruto improved after the academy. On the floor. Winner by knockout, Uzumaki Naruto. Announced Hey 8. Naruto was feeling very proud of himself at the moment. While he was tired from Kiba's assault and the use of his clones, something that would have never happened if his chakra was normal, Naruto felt that he did better than he himself would have expected. He never fought that well in his entire life, but now in what seemed like hours, his skill increased by an immense amount, and Naruto still had no idea how it happened. Well, he did have a theory, but he needed some time to test it when he was alone. As of right now, he was content to revel in his unlikely victory. Look how much you've grown, Naruto, thought a proud Hokage. Yawn. Naruto sat up in his bed after a long, pleasurable, deserving rest the day after the preliminary exams ended. He got up and started his morning routine so he could head out to a training ground. He had to get started preparing for the 3rd stage ASAP. He took a shower, brushed his teeth, washed his face, and ate some ramen. He then changed into loose white shorts, a black t-shirt with a spiral, and black ninja sandals. Then he gathered up all his tools and jumped out of the window. Doors are for squares. Naruto decided to stick true with his promise and got started on training even before he approached Kakashi-sensei to ask about him training him. Naruto was going to train himself into the dirt, as well as the training he would receive from his teacher, just so he doesn't waste any time that could be spent otherwise honing his admittedly lackluster skills. Another reason Naruto decided to go to the training ground first was so that he could test out his theory on how he improved so quickly in the 2nd stage of the exams. Naruto knew he would have a long road in front of him, especially since he would have to face Niji Hyuga in his first match. That was a fight he wasn't planning on losing, especially after what the bastard did to Hinata, his own cousin. Naruto would be the first to tell you he was lucky in the prelims. With the exception of Ino, Sakura, and that random guy Sasuke faced, if he had to fight anyone else, Naruto was pretty sure he would have lost, even with his newfound skills. Luckily he got Kiba, a taijutsu user / the only skill Naruto was proficient in. Fortunately he now has an entire month to train before his match with the Rookie of the Year. Naruto finally arrived at his destination, Training Ground 9. A place not too many people really came to because of how close it was to the Forest of Death. In fact, you could actually see Training Ground 44 looming in the background. Naruto knew about this place from his younger days, when he used to find places to hide from the stares of the villagers, and later on because of his pranks, the ANBU. It was a wide, grassy clearing that had a stream running through it. The grounds are also surrounded by trees you would commonly find around Konoha. Naruto walked up to the stream, and thought that it would be the perfect place to start his training, but first, Kage Bushin no Jutsu. Poof. His theory. Out of the smoke appeared one perfect clone of Naruto. Okay, I want you to go down the stream and see where it ends up. Naruto commanded his clone. Geez, there was no need to tell me, idiot, responded the clone, and with that it ran off. God damn it, why am I so annoying as a clone? After a couple minutes of standing there, Naruto suddenly jumped up. Stupid ass clone. How the hell did you not an entire waterfall before you fell off the cliff? You should have at least heard it. Yelled Naruto. It was only after a few seconds of fuming did he realize what had just happened. Yes. It worked, and even better than Naruto thought it would. He, at first, just assumed that he would just get a vague feeling or some kind of intuition, but nope, he actually gets the entire experience. Naruto was salivating just thinking of all the ways he could train using this, but had to stop when he remembered he had another problem. Kage Bushin no jutsu. Poof. Shit, big problem. He could only make 100 clones before he became swamped. For comparison, when he first learned the jutsu, he could easily make 1,000 clones without being close to tired. Sadly, there was nothing he could do about his dilemma at the moment, so there was no sense of crying about it now. He could just get started, then go and ask his sensei later if he knew how to remove this dumb seal. At the moment though, he only had to figure out what he could work on right there. Naruto didn't think he could work on his control until he had the seal removed, so that was out. He didn't even know where to start when it came to jutsus, so that's out as well. It seems he would just have to improve on what he knows, and hopefully try to incorporate other things later. Okay, I want 60 clones to break off and go over there. Once there I want 40 of you to pair off and fight with each other, then I want the rest of the 20 clones to pick a fight to watch. That should give us different perspectives on the way we fight. I want the last 40 clones I didn't mention to work on their shuriken and kunai proficiency. Alright. After the clones left to do whatever they were doing, Naruto decided to work on his physical body by running and doing some exercises. Nothing too hard though, he didn't know what awesome plans his sensei had for him. After the hour was up, Naruto figured he did enough for the day and left his clones to do whatever they were doing, while he searched for Kakashi-sensei. On his way back to the village, he realized that he probably would be too busy training to do anything else in the next month. So Naruto decided to get some things he was planning to get done out of the way first. Naruto's first stop was the village's local flower shop. Welcome to Yamano, it's just you. Also known as Yamanaka flowers, where Ino was known to work it from time to time. And what's that supposed to mean? Naruto deadpanned. Oh nothing, waved off Ino. I think you made a wrong turn, Naruto, Ichiraka's is a couple streets over. I actually meant to come here, said Naruto. Though if had known you were here I probably would have came later. Well, if I had known you were coming around, then I probably wouldn't have been. Ino responded lightly. What are you here for anyway, Naruto? I didn't take you for a guy who likes flowers. I also doubt you can even take care of any. I have several plants at home that I take care of. Plus they're all healthy. Really, I'm surprised. Even if I'm sure you dug them all up from the ground somewhere. What difference does that make? Naruto responded, pointing his finger at Ino. The difference, you idiot, is that flowers need a lot more attention than whatever you're giving your dirt and weeds at home, she chided Naruto. I don't want to sell you something that's just going to die in the morning because you don't know how to take care of it. Dirt and weeds, growled Naruto in his head. If he had time he probably would have responded to Ino's statement in a way that would have guaranteed that he would get kicked out of the store. Instead, he calmed down and responded to her nicely, they actually aren't for me, I'm visiting Hinata and we're going to give it to her. Hinata? Oh, how cute. Ino fake gushed. It only took her getting put in the hospital for you to get the message. She then put on a questioning look. Maybe it would have been good if Sasuke was there for my dash. Am I supposed to be following along with what you're talking out? Naruto said, cutting Ino off. Because you lost me at message. Did Hinata send me some mail or something? Nothing, forget it. I guess it was too much to expect that everything about you improved since we were in the academy. Ino said, seeing Naruto's confusion. Speaking of, good job on finally shutting that mutt's mouth. He was always a little bit more annoying than you, not by that much, but still. Thanks, I really appreciate it. Naruto droned. Can I have my flowers now? Of course, silly me, Ino said with a very convincing smile. What were you looking for? I'm not really sure. Naruto said, rubbing the back of his head. I only heard that you're supposed to bring flowers. I never actually visited anyone in the hospital before. No problems, it was my fault for thinking you would know anyway. I have the perfect kind of flowers for you to get. How does this place get any customers while you're here? Obviously amazing looks and sparkling personality. Ino answered while striking a pose with her hands on her hips. Naruto just stared at her unblinkingly. You know, for a person who works at a flower shop, you have remarkably not worked to get me any flowers since I've been here. Whatever, Ino then went to a shelf and grabbed a pot of purple flowers. These are lavender roses, I'm sure Hinata would love these. Finally, Naruto breathed out. How much? Oh no, these are free of charge. Ino said. Maybe I would make you pay if they were for you, but I'm fine with letting you have these if it's for someone I like. Naruto respectfully ignored the last part for the fact that he was getting the flowers for free. He went up to the checkout stand to get the flowers. He also received a customary piece of paper that tells you how to care for them. Before he left, Ino went over to a group of blue flowers and plucked one without its stem. Then she came back over to where Naruto was. Here's another one that's on the house. Ino then stuck the blue flower on the top of Naruto's head. Ah, it compliments you so well. I think you should keep this look. It makes you look less wild and more, not you. Naruto's patience was wearing thin, and he decided to leave before the small amount he had ran out. As Naruto was walking out the door, a thought came to him that made him smile. He stopped and turned back around to Ino. You know what, you're right, I think I should keep this. Naruto said, confusing Ino. I'm Sasuke and Sakura will ask about it, and I will be so happy to tell them that you thought it would make me look good. Naruto then ran out the shop while Ino's face was in the middle of changing from confusion to anger. Once he got to the hospital, Naruto quickly went to find Hinata's room. He had to sneak behind the desk because he doubted they would just tell a random person, nevertheless Naruto himself. Knock knock, come in, said a soft voice. Opening up the door, Naruto saw a paler than normal Hinata laying in the bed. She did gain some color though, when she saw who walked in. And Naruto-kun. What are you doing here? Hinata squeaked out. I came to see you. Why else would I be here? Questioned Naruto. To see me? Repeated Hinata with wide eyes, drawing the covers up to her face, which, in Naruto's personal opinion, made her look like a small adorable mouse. Yeah, said a momentarily distracted Naruto. Anyway. I just remembered, I brought you these. Said Naruto, showing her the flowers he bought from earlier. Lavender roses? Hinata spoke, recognizing the flowers. Unknowingly to Naruto, she developed a faint flush when she saw them. Yup, said an oblivious as usual Naruto. I didn't think you knew flowers like that, Hinata. You well, it's a hobby. Hinata was flustered since she also knew about the meanings certain flowers had, and the ones Naruto brought had associations which made her woozy. She was pretty confident though that Naruto had no clue about what they meant. Why did you get these flowers anyway? Well, I didn't really pick these, Ino did. She said you would love them. Naruto looked at the flowers, then back up at Hinata. I can kind of see how they fit. Purple kinda matches you. Ino, of course, Hinata thought in her mind. She wasn't surprised the Yamanaka would do something like this. She still liked the flowers though, and appreciated who they came from even more. Thanks, I love them, she told Naruto with a soft smile. Don't sweat it. Naruto said, grinning. Oh, and don't worry, I'll make sure I beat that bastard Neji into the ground for you. Naruto. Hinata was conflicted. She didn't want to see either Naruto or Neji hurt. Even despite how her cousin treats her, she knew about what he went through and the pain he feels. Unfortunately, she didn't think she could say anything to neither boys to get them to go easier on the other. She smiled at Naruto. Good luck. Thanks, Naruto said with a wide self-assured smile. Then he pointed his thumb at himself and gave a more fierce grin. But I don't need any luck. If she had to choose though, then Hinata hoped Naruto won. A pumped-up Naruto was walking through the hallways of the hospital when he saw the exact person he was going to look for in the main lobby. How lucky. Kakashi-sensei. I have a favor to save it, Naruto. I already know what you are going to ask and the answer is no. Interrupted Kakashi. How unlucky. Why not? Because I already planned to train Sasuke. Explained Kakashi. But don't worry, I found you a teacher, he said, pointing to the other side of the room. Naruto turned around in the direction he was pointing and saw Closet Perv, looking at him with the same disgust in his eyes as always. Naruto-san, I have accepted to be your teacher for the month, and I will beat out all that foolishness out of you that you call skill. Ebisu said with a touch of unkindness. Come on, Kakashi-sensei, can't you find anyone else to teach me other than this pervert? Besides, I beat him once already, complained Naruto. Pervert? Kakashi said in a question tone. But before Naruto could answer, Ebisu clamped his hands over Naruto's mouth and started pulling him away. Nothing. He is delusional. You will have your student back, properly taught, by the end of the month, and with it he pulled Naruto away. Why did you bring me to the hot springs? What can we learn in here? Asked Naruto. The basics. It is clear you need a clear review on everything that you were already supposed to know, said Ebisu. Yeah, whatever, mumbled Naruto. Naruto had a bad feeling that he would be getting most of his training done on his own time. Now first, take off your clothes. What? I knew you were a creep, but not in this type of way, accused Naruto, pointing his finger at his sensei. No. Not like that. In the exercise that you are about to do you will be around water, and unless you want your clothes to get wet, you should take them off, said Ebisu, trying to justify himself. Fine, I'll do it, but I'm watching you. Naruto then took everything off except for his underwear. Now what? Now, you watch me. Ebisu instructed, walking towards then on top of the water. This is a more advanced version of the tree walking chakra control exercise, an essential tool needed for many missions outside the village. Naruto didn't disagree, the ability to walk on water would have been useful during the mission to the Land of Waves. He was a little hesitant to try it though. The seal Orochimaru put on him was still making his chakra weird, but maybe he might be able to at least pull this off. Later. Splash. Naruto jumped out of the scorching hot water, for what seemed like the 100th time today. Ah! Shit, cursed Naruto, landing back on solid ground. Listen to me, you four-eyed creep. I am trying to tell you I can't do this exercise with the way I am right now. Exactly. That is why I am making you do this repeatedly. The way you are right now is pitiful, I will be sure to correct that. At least let me do it over regular water. Why the hell do I have to do it here? Inspiration, said Ebisu simply. Grrr, growled out Naruto, ready to kill the black-clad man. Giggle. Both teacher and student stopped at the sudden noise. Giggle. They turned toward the source of the perverse sounds, and found a tall man with long spiky white hair, and red lines running down his face peeking on the woman's section of the bathhouse. He was dressed in a dark green kimono with matching pants, a red haori, and wooden sandals. The man also had a horned forehead protector with the kanji oil on it. Ebisu bristled that anyone would have the audacity to do something like that in his village and marched up to the man. Excuse me, sir, Ebisu said, grabbing his shoulder. What do I? Out of nowhere a frog came and wrapped its tongue around Ebisu and slammed him into the ground, knocking him out cold. Naruto looked upon the scene with his mouth open for a few moments before he recovered. "Hey! You damn pervert," called Naruto, from a safe distance of course. "Hey! What do you want, idiot?" The mysterious man finally answered. "You just knocked out my sensei, and I was supposed to be getting training from him. What are you going to do about this?" "Huh? Exactly what I am doing now, kid." Naruto started to growl. Today just wasn't his day. "Can you at least point me in the direction of someone who knows about seals?" questioned Naruto. "I asked this useless piece of lump and he told me the only one who he knows isn't in the village. A lot of help that was," he grumbled. "It just so happens that I might know a thing or two about them myself." "Why?" the man asks. "Because some damn freaky pedophile put some seal on me that's messing up my chakra." It seems this was enough to get the man to stop peeking and catch his interest. "Let me see it," he said. It didn't sound much like a request. Naruto warily lifted up his shirt to show him where it was. The white-haired man stared at it for a moment before holding out his hands and making his fingertips glow. "5-prawn seal release," he said, thrusting his hand into Naruto's stomach. Cried out Naruto. He fell on all fours while trying to catch his breath. What the hell was that for? "You'll see. Try to do that exercise you were attempting earlier." Grumbling, Naruto reluctantly complied and went to the springs. Gathering chakra to his feet, he hesitantly stepped onto the water. That's when Naruto noticed he no longer felt the restriction he felt on his chakra before. He took another step, then another, and another, until he was full out running and jumping on the water. "Yes! Hell yeah, I'm back to normal," celebrated Naruto, while hopping all over the place. He actually did it. He could actually take off that snake guy's jutsu. Who the hell is this guy? The older man examined Naruto for a couple seconds before he spoke again. "I've been thinking, since I accidentally knocked out your sensei, how about I teach you for the rest of the month?" "Accidentally, my ass," Naruto said to himself. Naruto thought to himself that this might be a good change in events because not only did this guy reverse a Sannin seal, but he also has a summoning contract, which is usually only held by prominent shinobi. "Okay, I accept your training, but first you have to tell me who you are." "No way am I accepting to do anything with some unknown pervert." "Ha ha ha. Who am I, you ask?" The man suddenly jumped on top of the previously forgotten toad and started to do a kabuki dance. "I am the sage of Mount Mayaboku. The prophet of toads. Sensei. Of the legendary Yellow Flash. Super Pimp of Fire. And most importantly, the writer of the Ika Ika series, Jiraiya of the Sannin." "Never mind. Kuchios no Jutsu. Poof. Yo, I'm Gamakichi. You got any snacks?" said a small orange frog. "UUUH. Finally, Naruto groaned. For the past 3 days Jiraiya had been teaching Naruto the summoning jutsu. Naruto had been having some difficulty with it. His chakra control, or more aptly his lack of it, didn't leave him with the ability to concentrate and direct his chakra that much. The feat would have taken much longer than 3 days, if Naruto didn't have his clones training as well. //. The moment Naruto left the pervert the first day, he rushed to Training Ground 9 to make more clones. Once he got there, he dispelled all the previously working clones, which caused a brief moment of confusion with all the images flashing through his head. Naruto shook his head and made a cross shape with his fingers. "Kage Bushin no Jutsu. Poof, hell yeah." Naruto managed to make 2,000 clones this time, and he still had chakra to spare. Naruto didn't want to get close to his maximum amount, because he still had to operate during the day, and he might need his chakra for something. Naruto examined his copies for a moment, pondering what to do with them. Okay. I want the same groups as last time but 10 times the amount. For the 1,000 left over, I want you to work on chakra control by grabbing leaves and sitting on water or tree branches and doing the leaf concentration exercise. Oh, and those on the branches, I want you to be sitting on the bottom of it. Alright, let's go. The crowd of blondes just mumbled their agreements and left, some not saying anything at all. Bastards, at least show some enthusiasm, Naruto said, with a tick mark. Naruto then started to work on his physical body, doing a more extreme version of what he did that morning. After a few hours, Naruto stopped, finally reaching his limit. If I keep this up, I should be able to refine my strength and skills, but I won't be able to do anything new, mused Naruto. Suddenly getting an idea where to start, Naruto raced off towards the village. It was a slow day for Ishii Higurashi at his weapons shop, and he was occupying his time by sharpening a few of the blades he had. He was about to move on to a dulled kunai, when he heard the bell that was connected to the door chime. He swiftly cleaned up his area, and made his way to the front. Hello. Welcome to Higurashi's Tools, how can I help you? He said, looking down at short blonde-haired kid about his daughter's age. Naruto didn't know what to think when he saw the huge man coming towards him, lumbering out the back, but he just hoped he didn't dislike him like in some of the other stores. Naruto never attempted to try to come inside this shop before, because usually when owners kick him out, they do it by throwing whatever is near them at him. That didn't sound like the best situation to end up in at a store full of deadly ninja weapons. Naruto only risked it today because he was just a shadow clone, and the original was nowhere near there. Thankfully, the man who came and greeted him showed no ill will on his face, causing the clone to breathe a big sigh of relief. Hello, sir. I was actually looking to restock all my supplies, and asked to see if you carried any small weights that could be put on you ankles and arms? Naruto responded. Well, first let's get your first order, then we can deal with whatever you are asking for later, said Ishii. Ishii then proceeded with getting everything Naruto asked for to replace his regular tools, shuriken, kunai, sealing scrolls, ninja wire, etc. After everything was packed up, and ready to be rung up, did they decide to continue their conversation? Before that though, clone Naruto wanted to ask about something he saw. Excuse me sir, what are those blank pieces of paper that you have in the display case there, asked the clone. Those? Oh, they're just chakra papers, and although they look normal, they cost a lot more than you would expect. And Naruto had to agree with him, it was too much for him to just get on a whim, he had to ask the boss about it before anything else. Okay, thanks. I wanted to ask earlier if you had any weights that could be put on a band or something, questioned the clone. Yeah sure, we have plenty of those, and they already come with bands of different colors. Tell me what weight you're looking for, and I'll bring them, said Ishii. I think I'll start with 2 50-pound weights in black bands, and 2 100-pound weight bands, that are also in black, ordered Naruto. Sure thing kid. Ishii went around the shop and started gathering the weights needed. Once he had them, he brought them to the front to be paid for. Anything else? Nadash almost declined Naruto, before he suddenly got a dazed look in his eyes. Naruto was in that state for only a second, before he snapped back to reality. Actually, I would like to see the chakra papers. A little earlier, way across town, the original Naruto was running towards the library. The library was split into 3 parts, and each one had different requirements to get into. The first part was the civilian section, and it was open to all citizens of the Leaf. The second part was the normal shinobi section, you had to be at least a genin to have access to it. The final part was the more restricted shinobi section, and you had to be Chunin and above to read anything in it. Naruto knew most of what he would be looking for would be in the last section, but that wasn't a problem for him. The whole library is watched by 3 Chunin, who sit at a desk in the middle of the front area. For Naruto, who has painted the Hokage monument in broad daylight, and sneaked into the Hokage's office, this was basically nothing. Naruto was scanning all the shelves for anything of interest, and whatever caught his eyes he threw on a table. He already amassed some books on elemental affinity, DA rank jutsus, chakra control exercises, and basic sealing. He had an interest in sealing because of obvious impact they have had on his life. Once he had all the books he wanted, he took a bunch of empty scrolls out his pocket and started the next step. Kage Bushin no Jutsu. Poof, Naruto made 1 clone for each thing he picked up. Alright, I want each of you to pick something and copy it into a scroll. When you're done, take it to our house and dispel yourself. How about you, shut the hell up and do it yourself? Poof! Naruto threw a scroll at the rude clone's face. Anyone else? Good. Naruto quickly made another clone to replace the last one, and left the library. /flashback/. Since then Naruto incorporated everything he learnt into his training. This allowed him to discover his strong affinity for wind, and slight affinity for fire. Naruto also started learning some more jutsus, and noticed how much easier it was to execute the ones that he had an affinity for. Naruto already made some headway on the leaf-cutting exercise, but he had hit a plateau and needed some help with that. Strangely enough, the exercises for fire affinity were easier than the ones for wind. Naruto also started wearing the weighted bands once he got them, and also added more running to his set of physical workouts to do in the morning. All this and what he was doing before, is what Naruto's clones have been working on every day while Naruto was training with Jiraiya. The first thing Jiraiya did, was let Naruto sign the Toad summoning contract. After Naruto did that, he was told to try to summon any size toad he could. Unsurprisingly for Jiraiya, Naruto could only summon tadpoles, and quickly worked himself into exhaustion trying to do more. When that happened, most of the times Naruto would be taught tactics and strategies, whenever Jiraiya wasn't out doing research. Jiraiya knew that summoning would take a lot out of Naruto, so he didn't want to start any more training until he was finished with that. Shockingly enough to him though, Naruto was able to summon a toad in 3 days, because of his liberal use of shadow clones, something which Jiraiya never ran into before. Alright kid, you did a good job, but at the rate you are going now, you are never going to summon the boss, said the Toad Sage. Jiraiya was bluffing. He fully believed that by the end of the month, Naruto would have a good shot at being able to finally get it, but he wanted to move on to other stuff. So we are going to try something different. What do you mean, pervy sage? Wondered Naruto. Listen up, have you ever felt that you had two kinds of chakra in you? Naruto knew exactly what Jiraiya was talking about. The red chakra that seems to comes out of nowhere. He remembers using it during his fight with Haku, as well as when he faced the snake freak. It made him way stronger, so strong he could stop a giant. Felt weird, more thicker, and more powerful than his regular chakra, also more wild. Naruto already had a good idea what it was. You mean the Kyuubi's chakra? Jiraiya looked shocked for a moment, before answering. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I guess you are smarter than you look. An indignant Naruto was about to complain, but the Sannin kept talking. I know that you have used the power before, but calling upon it consciously is different. If you are able to learn how to do that, you will always have something up your sleeves for when things go left. Yeah, I guess I see. Naruto didn't get to finish because Jiraiya suddenly punched him in his gut hard, rendering him unconscious. If he can only bring up the Kyuubi's chakra when under distress or when in extreme danger, the only way for him to learn how to do it actively is for him to remember how it feels, concluded Jiraiya. Forgive me, Minato, for what I am about to do. He then picked up Naruto and started walking away. A while later Naruto woke up on the floor, rubbing his groggy eyes. Of what just happened? Groaned Naruto, not noticing the white-haired man standing in front of him. We end your training today, if you don't complete it you die, Jiraiya said. He then pushed Naruto's forehead with one finger, sending him backwards, down a slope that was covered by plants. What? Naruto was rolling through the bushes now, getting many scratches along the way. The slope finally ended, sending Naruto sliding out of the shrubbery. Unfortunately the ground ended there too, so he fell out of the bushes and into a giant deep chasm. Naruto was disoriented before, so he didn't really process what was happening, but after he started falling he was wide awake. Aware enough to know what was happening and also who caused it, if his curses towards a certain pervert are any indication. Naruto was about to try catching himself on the walls using his chakra, but then he saw how spiky and wet they were and figured that would be a terrible idea. He would have tried to summon a toad, or even some clones, but he was all juiced out from training. That fucking bastard. If I survive this I am going to kill that pervert. Damn. Naruto didn't know how he would survive this. After all the close calls Naruto had, he finally gets done in by his teacher. Hell no. I don't care if I am out of energy, I'm not going to die here, proclaimed Naruto. He then bit his finger and did the seals for the summoning jutsu. Naruto started trying to push whatever chakra he had left, closing his eyes from the strain. All of the sudden he didn't feel the wind whipping past his face, or the sensation of falling. Naruto opened his eyes and found himself in a dark, murky sewer. When he looked around, he realized it was more of a flooded building or industrial factory than a sewer. Naruto felt a familiar feeling in his gut pulling him towards the direction of one of the doorways. Naruto followed this feeling through halls and turns, until he came upon a large chamber that had a giant gate with a seal on the middle of it. So my esteemed warden finally comes to visit me, a deep rumbling voice sounded from behind the gate, pulsing the water out to the direction of Naruto. Naruto knew immediately what it was. Kyuubi? No, it's the other giant being in your stomach, the now identified Kyuubi sarcastically said. Naruto developed a tick mark after that remark, and lost some of the reservations he might have gained from the fact he was facing such a massive beast. Shut the hell up, furball, why did you bring me here anyway? 'Cause your dumbass was about to get us killed, grumbled out the Kyuubi. 1. I wasn't about to do anything, I was thrown off a cliff. 2. What do you mean us? Oh. Hey. I get it now. Naruto said, finally thinking about what the Biju said. If I die, you die, huh? Naruto sat there and pondered for a while, before nodding his head to something he apparently figured out. Well, I guess that means only one thing dash. The Kyuubi, thinking he knew the depths of all humans, thought that he had Naruto pinned too. Like any other mortal, he would seek to have the Kyuubi under his thumb and use his power for his own purpose. The Kyuubi would rather die than be under someone's control again. Luckily it turned out that his container was one step ahead of him and got himself thrown off a cliff. The tailed beast only brought him down here to give him a chance to honor his father's words, even if he didn't believe them. But it seems this human is just as he thought. Now that he found out the lack of control the Biju actually has over him, he will seek to put the Kyuubi in submission. We'll be working together from here on out, declared Naruto. What? Thought the Kyuubi, eyes wide. There is no way he heard that right. What did you say, kid? I said that we are partners. I don't want to die, and I am pretty sure you don't want to die. So if our lives depend on protecting my body, it is better for us to work together than to be against each other. Naruto clarified. Plus I would rather have a good relationship with the big-ass fox that's living inside of my body. Grr. That makes no sense. I attacked your village, I am the reason you have no parents, I am the reason everyone despises you, why would you try to help me? What makes you so sure that I won't just kill you, then go back and destroy your village? Naruto, completely misunderstanding the part about his parents, confidently responded, because I get it. All I have been told all my life is that you're a monster. The same thing was said about me. I know that sometimes the people that are despised the most don't really deserve it. I think it would be better to hold my reservations about you until I see you actually did something wrong. And if it turns out everything everyone said about you is true, and you are just a big, evil fox. Naruto grinned at him. Then I'll find a way to finish what the fourth Hokage started myself. Naruto finished with a determined smirk. The Kyuubi was quiet for a moment, before he started chuckling. I guess you're not as stupid as I thought, though you are still missing a few marbles for even thinking about threatening me. Heh, I never said it would be easy, Naruto said. But I never backed down from anything. Yeah, whatever, puffed out Kurama. I'll allow some access to my chakra, so you don't end up as a bloody smear. Gee, thanks, furball. With that, you have overstayed your welcome, growled out the Kyuubi. Also open up a history book sometime, the fourth Hokage didn't start anything. Huh? Naruto's eyes snapped open, and he found himself once again falling down the chasm. Naruto wasn't scared this time though. He could feel chakra running through him that didn't belong to him, but was his at the same time. He pushed the chakra towards his still outstretched hand, knowing it would be more than enough than what he needed. Summoning jutsu. Poof, huh, What? Where the hell am I? Jiraiya. Naruto was now standing on top of a humongous toad dressed in what seemed to be a Yakuza uniform. Hey, who's that on my head? The toad called out. Naruto ran down to the summon's nose so it could see him. I was. Naruto Uzumaki, your new summoner, answered Naruto. The toad laughed. There's no way a shrimp like you could summon me. Ha! Naruto was starting to get pissed off. I was the one who summoned you, you piece of shit toad. The summon stopped laughing and looked at Naruto for a long time, before seemingly confirming something. Alright then, I guess I could make you my underling. Alright, said Naruto, not really knowing what was happening. Underling? Is that how all summoning contracts work? Now to initiate someone into the family, I would usually see if they can hold their sake good. Enough to impress me, but since you are probably too young for that, I have to come up with something new. The toad sat there for a moment. How about this? You get on my back, then I try to shake you off. If you can stay on till sunset, then you can join the family. Naruto didn't like the sound of that. The only way he could stay on long enough was for him to use chakra, and therein lies the problem. He couldn't use Kurama's chakra because he couldn't control it. He also couldn't use his, because that was just starting to replenish and was still at a low amount. Naruto was just about to humbly request, beg, for the first test, when the toad suddenly shot out of the chasm. Alright. Let's see if you got what it takes, the giant amphibian said. By the way, I am the toad boss summons, Gamabunta, and don't you forget it, runt. And with that he started jumping and flailing around, trying to shake Naruto off. Naruto was hanging for dear life on the back of Gamabunta, turning greener and greener every passing moment. Naruto didn't think he would be able to survive until the end of this test, much less hang on for the entire time, but he isn't Naruto Uzumaki for nothing. The one thing he never does is gives up. Boing boing. Naruto never questioned his Nindo so hard in his life. Ugh, I'm never going to forgive that damn pervert. Boing. Naruto woke up hours later to a white ceiling. Groaning, he sat up and looked around, and recognized the place he was currently at as the hospital. Naruto felt a presence next to him and turned to meet a pair of black eyes, staring right back at him. So, you're finally awake, huh? Naruto looked at the rest of the body, while matching voice to a person in his head, and he realized that Shikamaru was in his room. Shikamaru, questioned Naruto. Why are you here? I was visiting Choji, when I heard that you were in the hospital too. So I decided to visit you, the Nara responded. Naruto tried to ignore the way his chest warmed up at the thought of Shikamaru coming to see him. Naruto never really thought that he and the other genin were that close. Like Choji, I didn't really think you are the type to have girls visit him. Naruto was about to retort with his own remark, but thought about something he just noticed. Wait, Choji's still in the hospital? I didn't think his injuries were that serious. They weren't. Choji ate too much and ended up landing himself in the hospital again. Shikamaru explained with a sigh. Oh, should be figured. Naruto then noticed a fruit basket, sitting on the edge of his bed. Shikamaru, seeing where Naruto was looking, started talking. I originally brought that for Choji, but the nurse said it wasn't good for him to have anything to eat, so I thought I might as well give it to you. Gee, thanks, deadpan Naruto, trying to ignore the warm feeling that popped up again. You know what we should do, eat this in front of Choji's face. Sai, let's go, I don't have anything else to do. Naruto got up and got dressed. He then grabbed the fruit basket and headed into the hallway with Shikamaru. On the way to Choji's room, Naruto got a cold feeling near his gut, and it was directing him to another part of the hospital. He darted off to find the source of the chill, with a surprised Shikamaru following behind. Naruto, what's gotten into you? Spoke Shikamaru. I'm not sure, but if you follow me, you'll probably find out. How troublesome. Shikamaru complained, but he still followed. Well, that was intense. Shikamaru said, rolling his neck. Yeah, you're telling me, responded Naruto listlessly. Shikamaru gave him a curious look but thankfully didn't say anything as they were approaching Choji's room. Shikamaru slid open the door, and was immediately verbally attacked by a feisty blonde girl. "Where the hell were you? And what took you so long? And don't you know how to knock?" scolded Ino. "Well, we ran into an unplanned situation with a foreign ninja, and before that I was visiting Naruto," pacified Shikamaru. "Naruto," repeated Ino with confusion. "He's in the hospital? What's wrong with him? I just saw him a couple days ago and he looked fine." Shikamaru shaking his head in annoyance. "Go ask him yourself," Shikamaru said, speaking of Choji. "You mind if Naruto comes in?" Shikamaru asked Choji, who was munching on some chips Ino gave him on his bed. "Munch munch asterisk, that's cool, munch munch asterisk, I don't mind," Choji affirmed. "Alright Naruto," he said, "you can come in," called Shikamaru. Naruto opened the door and walked in while cleaning his ear with a finger. "Damn Ino, I'm sure the whole building could hear you screaming." Naruto then turned to Shikamaru. "I feel sorry for you, at least with Sasuke on our team, Sakura pretends that she is nice. No luck for you with Ino." Ino cracked her knuckles with her fist in her palm and smiled sweetly at Naruto. "What's that supposed to mean, huh?" Naruto wisely took a step back. "Hee, oh nothing," he said with his hands up in a placating motion. "Are you sure? You look like you still would like a few more days at the hospital." "No, I'm perfectly fine, hey Choji. Hope you feel better. See you guys later. Bye." Naruto made a quick escape, not wanting to risk the wrath of the blonde girl. "Man," he thought. "There have been too many violent people in my life recently, I'm seriously considering a change in careers." Now that Naruto was away from the others, he started to think back to the meeting he had with Gaara. A person who was just like him, but also completely different. He shuddered at the thought. Not because he was scared, but because of the thought that this was how he could have ended up. Thankfully, Konoha was still a good village to live in overall. He wouldn't have been so lucky in some of the other hidden villages if rumors are to be believed. Naruto was walking down the hallway thinking about Gaara and the Kyuubi, when he was thrown out his thoughts by crashing into a small girl, and accidentally sending her crashing into the ground. "Oops, that was my fault. I'm very sorry." "Are you okay?" asked Naruto, stretching out his hand to help the girl up. The girl ignored the hand, and got up off the ground by herself. "Thanks, but no thanks. I can help myself," she said evenly. Now that the girl was off of the ground, Naruto had a good look at what she looked like. She was a very small petite girl, with long black hair. She had a very familiar face, and big white pupilless eyes which signified the Hyuga clan. Naruto stared at her for a moment, which quickly agitated her. "Why are you staring at me?" she demanded. "It's just that. You are so adorable," gushed Naruto. "You're like a plushy version of a real ninja." Naruto decided to have a little fun with her. Not only did she reject his offer for help, but he never did like uptight people. The Hyuga girl turned a little red from anger, and closed her eyes in an attempt to control her temper. "Don't call me adorable or plushy. And I am a real ninja," she growled out. This just made Naruto gush harder. "Did you just growl? Ha ha ha, look at you playing shinobi. Where's your parents at, little girl? Are you lost?" The girl could feel her grasp on her emotions slipping. She clenched her fist at her side to rein back her oncoming explosion. "Do you know who you're talking to?" she said with slightly puffed cheeks. "You would apologize if you knew what was good for you. I just want to help find your parents." "Do they know where you are?" teased Naruto. "Here, take my hands, I'll walk you home." "Stop treating me like a child, treat me with respect," she demanded, stomping a foot on the ground. She was losing her composure and wouldn't last much longer. "I don't even know who you are, little girl, don't call me that." "I am not little," the Hyuga proclaimed. Her voice was steadily raising higher and higher. "Yes you are. But don't worry, all kids are small when they're 7. Naruto said, trying to reassure her. "I'm 15. That surprised Naruto. True, he purposefully overshot her age, but he didn't think she was that old. Wow, okay then, never mind, you're not a little girl then. Naruto agreed. You're a midget. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up, she yelled out and launched herself at Naruto. A flurry of jabs later, Naruto was now lying on the floor twitching. Oof, know your place next time. The girl said, walking away. Man, that girl has an anger problem. Naruto groaned out. Hello? Is there any nurses around? I would like to extend my stay. Hinata Hyuga was having a good day. The doctors just told her she was getting better without any complications, plus her older sister visited her. The only thing that could make this day better would be if knock knock asterisk come in, she called out. The door slid open and Hinata's heart skipped a beat when she saw who it was. And Naruto-kun. Hey Hinata. How are you feeling? Naruto asked, sitting down on a chair by the bed. Much better. The doctors even said I should get out before the end of the month. Hinata said, trying to calm her racing heart. That's awesome. Then the next time we meet it can be somewhere other than a hospital. Naruto said distastefully. Next time? Hinata repeated. She wasn't sure what reason Naruto would have to talk with her after she got released. Yeah. I hate hospitals, almost anywhere else is better. Ichiraku's is definitely a better place to hang out at. Naruto said offhandedly. Is Ichiraku's really that good? Questioned Hinata tentatively. I never actually had it, but you make it seem like it's really good. Hinata had ramen before, and while it was good, she has had a lot better. Naruto started gaping at her with his mouth open after she finished her question. He started turning pale and shakily pointed his finger at her. Why you never had Ichiraku's ramen before? He was shocked how anyone could live like she had. No. No wonder you're so gloomy and dark. Naruto said, missing Hinata slump a little at his words. I need to take you there ASAP. It's on me. I'll gladly cover the cost in this kind of emergency. Hinata turned red. Take me, she squeaked. Yeah, I'll have to find you sometime after you get released, since we can't go today. This is something that has to be fixed as soon as we can. Hinata felt a little woozy, and leaned a little back in her bed. She must have been worse off than she thought, and now she started hallucinating. Naruto, seeing her face start flushing, got concerned for her health. Hey Hinata, you look a little feverish. Are you okay? I am fine. I probably just need to take a little nap. I should be okay once I wake up. Okay, I should probably leave you to sleep then. I wouldn't want you to miss out on Ichiraku's longer than you would have too. Naruto started to turn towards the door but suddenly remembered something. Hey Hinata, do you have a little sister? Hinata chuckled and nodded her head. Yes, but she's actually my older name is Hanabi, and she's 2 years older than me. No way. She's actually 15. Naruto said, shocked. Hinata chuckled again. Yeah, she's normally cool-headed, but when it comes to her size she starts to become sensitive. Naruto started unconsciously rubbing the welts he just got. It took him a while to find a way up from the floor. You're telling me? Why do you ask, Naruto? Well, I just met her in the hallway, and when I first met her, I definitely saw how cool she was, but I found out the other part you mentioned the hard way. Naruto said, wincing. Hinata smiled at him. She's not likely to forget that for some time too. Not too many people would say something like that to her, so she remembers the few that do. Hinata didn't think that was such a bad thing. Usually her sister only expresses herself when they were alone together. The way they were raised and the expectations put on Hanabi as the heir causes her to be stoic most of the time. Anytime she can shed that weight and show her emotions freely, Hinata would be happy. Even if, unfortunately, it's at the expense of Naruto. Sorry, Naruto-kun. Huh? Why are you apologizing? After a long night's rest, and a morning at Training Ground 9, Naruto arrived at the clearing he and Jiraiya have been using for training. He saw Jiraiya at the center of the field reading a scroll, and made his way to him. "Good morning, pervy sage. What are we learning today? What did I say about calling me that brat?" Jiraiya scolded, bringing his fist down on Naruto's head. "As for your question, well, since you are finished your summoning training, we can start training you for real. What you were doing before was just to warm up. I have made up a whole schedule of what you will do for your training. I noticed that you took some interest in seals, so I decided to make it one of the things you will learn about. I tell you, you couldn't have picked a better teacher in seals than me, kid. Anyway, the schedule is like this. First is evasive techniques. Then some seal work, third is meditating under a waterfall, number 4 is jutsu theory and application, and the very last thing is a spar between you and me, no hold barrels on Naruto's part." When Naruto heard his upcoming daily schedule, he realized that he would be coming home broken after every training session. He was happy he had clones running around doing things for him, because he would have little time to do anything without them. Naruto had a little over 3 weeks until he had to fight in the Chunin Exams, and he was for damn sure going to take advantage of every second he had. "Sounds good, pervy sage. What are you waiting for? Let's start the first lesson." Naruto quickly knew regret. "Dodge," said Jiraiya, who punched Naruto in his stomach, sending him flying to the other end of the field. Naruto got up and wiped his mouth. He then ducked under one punch, just to get hit by a roundhouse kick, shooting him off again, but this time towards a big rock wall. Naruto smashed into the wall, then dropped. His collision caused pieces of the rock to fall off it, and bury Naruto in stones. "So this is the future Hokage of the Leaf Village?" Jiraiya proclaimed. "Can't say I'm too impressed. Come on, Naruto, I wasn't even using 30% of my strength in those punches." GGGRRR. Naruto started to throw rocks up off him, and broke himself through the top of the stone heap. "It doesn't matter what you see now, because I am going to become Hokage and I never go back on my words," Naruto declared, crouching down in preparation to dodge the next blow. "I'll just keep on getting hit until I no longer can." Maybe Ichiraku's has some open positions. It has been 3 days since Naruto had started the next part of his training, and 1 week since the preliminary rounds had ended. Naruto had been correct in the assumption that he would be dead on his feet after every day of training. When he came home, he would have just enough strength in him to make and dispel a shadow clone. This was so he can relay his experience to any shadow clones he had around. Through the course of the days, Jiraiya was metaphorically and literally cramming information in his head. Naruto never received any rest, especially since his sensei knew how much endurance he had. The moment he was finished one subject, they would move on to the next. If Naruto never understood a spoken explanation, he learned by being demonstrated on. Naruto had to admit that while the lessons hurt, he was learning faster because of it. The only part of the day that didn't have any practical lessons were seals. Jiraiya told Naruto to work on his handwriting before he can even begin making seals, so at this point the class was only theoretical. Jiraiya also taught under the belief of starting from the foundation and working your way up, so Naruto got to revisit and properly learn many things from the academy that he didn't care enough to remember the first time. Besides his training with Erosenin, Naruto's independent sessions were bearing much fruit. Naruto was already making substantial progress before, but when the training with Jiraiya was added, his progress was multiplied. The clones working with weapons, like shuriken and kunai, continued increasing speed, precision, and accuracy. Naruto discovered from that group that they found a way to apply the shadow clone Justa to the shuriken and kunai, where they could just make copies of the weapons. They even found a way to do this after the projectile has already been thrown. Naruto had learnt a lot of the jutsus that he copied from the library, only really having trouble with the higher tier ones. Naruto also had assigned clones to learn how to do fire and wind jutsus with as few seals as possible. Something which Naruto found out was possible from Erosenin's teachings. Naruto chakra control increased day by day, which allowed him to improve all across the board, but medical ninjutsu and genjutsu was still improbable for him. After the first day of his new lessons with his sensei, Naruto decided to add a new group of clones that would only work on his calligraphy for seals. As a result, his handwriting was unrecognizable from his academy days. Naruto was even on the final part of his fire affinity training, which he found surprising considering it wasn't even his main element. The only setbacks he had during training, strangely enough, was in his wind affinity training, which he was supposed to have a strong affinity for. He was still on the first exercise, and he still didn't have a clue on how to complete it. Naruto had done many things with the leaf, even some things that could be passed off as a tear down the middle, but he was never able to get his chakra to cleanly cut through the leaf. Naruto already made up his mind to find help if he didn't get any results in the next few days. The one lesson Naruto learned best from all this was that shadow clones were truly bullshit. He could get hours and hours of experience in anything he wanted, and because they were clones, he didn't have to worry about harming himself. It turns out that Mizuki was even a better teacher than Irika. Currently, Naruto was trying out a new training routine that he was planning on doing once every week. Naruto was standing in the center of about 100 clones that were standing in a wide circle around him. All the clones were standing in fighting position, ready to launch off their feet in a moment's notice. The original Naruto cracked his neck and rotated his arms before he got in a similar position as his clones. Let's go! One by one each clone started to run towards Naruto and tried to attack him. Naruto would block, parry, counter, or dodge every hit. One clone would come with an overhead flying kick, and Naruto would spin his body in a way where it would miss, and come around with a kick of his own. Another comes from behind Naruto trying to attempt to attack at a blind spot, but before a hit could land, Naruto flips over the clone, putting one hand on the clone's back to help the maneuver. Naruto gripped the clone's shirt in the process of the flip and threw the clone at another one who was preparing to do a jutsu, dispelling both of them. The clones switched up and started attacking in twos, making Naruto have to work harder than before. From an outsider's perspective, it was clear that the original was faster than the army of clones by a good amount, despite that Naruto was starting to get glancing blows and cuts. A clone, seeing that Naruto was wearing down, decided to finish it in one blow. The clone quickly made a bird seal. Wind style, air bullets. 3 balls of pressurized air shot out of the clone's mouth towards his maker. Naruto dispatched the clone he was fighting and tuned towards the incoming projectiles while going through seals. Earth style, mud wall. A portion of the ground shot up to intercept the bullets of air, and when they collided, they exploded into rubble and debris, covering the area with rocks and smoke. Naruto did a simple wind gesture to clear the smoke, and paused at what he saw next. All of the clones which were left, which was about 20-something, were in the air facing Naruto, flashing through the same jutsu. Wind style, drilling air bullets, they cried in unison. Then a countless number of expelled airballs filled the air, and they were all headed for Naruto at a frightening speed. Boom! A large explosion happened in the middle of the field, the resounding noise resonating through the air. The smoke from the combined blast took several moments to clear by itself, all of the clones waiting watching the impact point without lowering their guards. When it was visible enough for them to see, they peered in. Now where once the original stood, there was just a big crater that looked as if multiple bombs were set off to dig it, and at the very bottom of the hole there was one small man-sized hole, partially hidden by dirt and rocks. What the dash, one of the clones said, but before it could finish it was interrupted by a loud voice. Over here, idiots, said a figure that launched in the air from the forest. The airborne ninja made a tiger seal and inhaled widely. Fire style, great fireball jutsu. Exhale. A massive orb of roaring flames burst out of Naruto's mouth, flying towards where the clones were gathered. Before they could move, the attack hit the clones. Boom! Erupting into a magnificent explosion of fire. Naruto landed in a crouch on the ground, breathing hard from the exertion of his latest activity. He stood up from the ground, brilliant crimson light bathing him, and started to stretch. You got all that, breathed out Naruto towards the treetops of a few trees. Up in the trees, several clones sitting on branches gave Naruto the thumbs up. Naruto had thought of the idea for the exercise he was currently using after trying to run a couple of his laps with the weights off. He ended up tripping countless times, and crashed into a couple trees. Naruto was then able to figure out that he did successfully gain more speed, it was just that he wasn't used to moving at them. He knew that this would hinder him if he ever decided to take off his weights in a fight and decided that he needed a way to get used to going fast, and he came up with the 1 against 100 exercise. He would summon 100 clones while he had weights on, then he would take the weights off and fight against all of them. He also had a couple clones observing the entire thing from afar. Naruto planned to do this once a week, so that he would feel comfortable when he got rid of his bands. But Naruto only completed the first part of the exercise. "You ready to go again, boss?" one of the clones said. Naruto was going to keep sparring until he couldn't move anymore. He was determined to be prepared for all situations. Kage Bushins no jutsu. Poof! 100 clones surrounded Naruto once again. Let's do this, then Naruto charged. Later that day, Naruto was lying in a heap after one of his and Erosenen's sparring matches, like always. Unlike always, Jiraiya didn't immediately go off searching for the nearest bathhouse, and stayed behind to talk to Naruto for a few moments. "Hey Naruto," Jiraiya said to the pile of meat that was once Naruto. "I realized today during our sealing lesson that I have never seen you right before, so I don't really have a clue how long it would take until you were ready to do Fuinjutsu." "You," groaned Naruto. Jiraiya ignored Naruto and kept on talking. "So in light of that fact, I decided to finally see now before it slips my mind and I never remember." Moans of pain was the only thing the Toad Sage received in response. "Well, here's some paper," said Jiraiya, pulling out paper from his pouch, still ignoring Naruto's condition, "and here's something to write with." He also pulled out an inked brush and held both items in front of Naruto's limp body. Naruto didn't do anything for a few moments, but then he took the two objects and started to do something on the paper. After he was done, he threw them both on the ground. Jiraiya walked over to the sheet and picked it up. He looked at what was on the paper with scrutiny. "While you need to work on your artwork, your strokes and brushes are near flawless," complimented Jiraiya. On the paper was a drawing of a deformed Jiraiya with horns sticking from his actual head, instead of his forehead protector. Underneath the drawing were the kanji for Akuma. Anyone who saw the picture would have to admit that while the drawing was crude, it was still elegantly done. It's practically unheard of for someone to have this good of handwriting starting off, huh? "You really are full of surprises," Jiraiya said, chuckling. "Tomorrow come with some sealing supplies, you are going to need them for your Fuinjutsu lesson." With that, Jiraiya stalked away, presumably out to find some more research. Naruto was still in the same position he was in 10 minutes ago, a bloody lump. Ooh-hoo. The next morning Naruto was walking into Higarashi's weapon shop. On his way to the training ground he trained with Jiraiya at. Ring. "Hello, Mr. Higurashi," Naruto called out. He noticed that the store was empty. "I'll be out in just a minute," shouted the owner in response from the back. True to his word, only a moment later did Ishi emerge from the back door. He was wearing gloves, had on goggles, and was greasy, so Naruto assumed he was doing some work. "Oh Naruto, you're back already? Did you already need your things replaced, or are you here for a different reason?" "I'm actually here to get something new," Naruto responded. "How many blank sealing scrolls and papers do you have?" "A lot of them, we order them in bulk but not too many ninja buy them. I was considering reducing the amount we order." Naruto shook his head and pulled out Gamachan. "No need to do that, I want to buy every one you have," he said, pulling out the required amount. "While this solves the problem of my current stock of sealing materials, what you just ordered should last you a while, and there would be no need for you to come back and but more when I restock." "Trust me," Naruto replied. "I will go through everything quick." "Okay? I also need all the brushes and ink you have as well." "Whatever, it's your money." Ishi went and gathered everything asked for, and rung it up. When Naruto saw the price on the cash register he almost started crying on the spot. He was thankful that he learned to save every cent that he could at a young age. "At least it's for a good cause," whimpered Naruto in his head. Asterisk sigh asterisk, here you go. Now that I think about it, I am probably going to need a storage scroll for all this. Once they was finished with the dilemma of sealing everything, it was finally set to go. Pleasure doing business with you, kid, Ishii said. Matter fact, I have a couple propositions for you if you are willing to hear them, and they all involve making a little cash. Naruto, who had just witnessed the death of his wallet, was eager to hear about anything that could his funds. Sure, I'm up to hear whatever you got to say. Since you're doing sealing, if you bring in some explosive tags and storage scrolls, I will pay you for them. I can never have too many of those, especially since they are one of the products most in demand. Naruto knew that with the lessons he was currently receiving, coupled with all of his clones, he could probably make a pretty penny with this job alone. That sounds fine. What about the other one? I have a usual delivery girl that goes and picks up and drops off things for me from time to time. The problem is that she is a ninja and she can't always be there, so I usually have to request a mission for some genin to do. I am willing to make you my permanent backup and you will be the only one who gets the mission pay. I like to have familiar faces handling my stuff, and I feel like you are going to be a regular in my store. Naruto thought this would also be a good way to make money, especially since he could just make clone do these jobs whenever he wanted. Alright, I'm game for both of them. Good, just come in at any time for the tags and scrolls. I think I might have a delivery for you in a few days too, so come by and check. Ishii said. Anything else you need? Yeah, kind of. If you don't mind me asking, Naruto questioned. What were you doing before I came in? Huh? Oh, that? I was just sharpening up my swords. Sharpening? Mused Naruto. How exactly were you doing that? I use a sharpening stone, which I use to grind against the sword. This sharpens and hones the blade the more I grind. Is there a reason for these questions? Naruto ignored him and just sat there thinking for a few moments. Naruto decided something and made the seal for a shadow clone. Naruto did this silently, because he was trying to get into the habit of not verbalizing his attacks, well unless, of course, he wanted to be dramatic. Poof, a clone appeared in the middle of the shop, but before the smoke even had a chance to dissipate, Naruto punched the copy in the jaw, causing it to dispel. Ishii, the shop owner, just stood there confused while all this played out. If that will be all, I will just leave you to it. Ishii went back to sharpening his swords. Naruto was too busy getting over the fact that he might finally make some progress in wind manipulation to notice what Ishii did. Naruto finally arrived at the place where he trained with Jiraiya, after a quick stop to the training grounds to drop off most of his sealing materials. When he looked around to find Jiraiya, he was confused because he spotted him behind what looked like a fortified wall made out of mud and rocks. Hey Aro-sennin, what is that for? Naruto asked, pointing at the wall structure. Don't call me that idiot, snapped Jiraiya, with his veins poking out. And as for this? Well, let's just call it a useful piece of scenery which I will be using as a resting post for the remainder of the day. Whatever, waved off Naruto, not feeling like putting up with his sensei's antics today. So how come you didn't immediately try to hit me when I arrived? I thought evasive movements was first. Today Gaki, we will only be working on Fuinjutsu, explained Jiraiya. You have quickly grasped concepts of sealing in a short amount of time, so now it is time to get your practical knowledge up to where you are theoretically. Yes. Today I won't be going home in pain, I will just be sitting and drawing. Maybe a few explosions, but none of them will be with me in them. I am ready to start, Jiraiya-sensei. Ha ha. Now that's more like it, cheered Jiraiya. Let's see how enthusiastic you will be at the end of the day, the sage said, mostly to himself. Naruto was crying and thanking the heavens at the moment, and didn't even know his sensei opened his mouth. A burnt and crispy Naruto is what showed up at Training Ground 9 that evening. Naruto also was burning mad. The clones weren't sure whether the smoke rising from his head was the result of his anger or whatever got him the way he looked. Stupid ass pervert. Resting post my ass, he was using it as a shield, grumbled out Naruto. No one told him how dangerous messing up a seal was, and even though he should have known that by himself, he wasn't expecting it to be so precise. Naruto blew himself up no less than 24 times, and he wasn't even working on explosive tags when those happened. When he did try explosive tags, it looked like the entire Uchiha clan came back to life and decided to use that field as practice. A good thing is that he got used to Fuinjutsu enough, where he won't be making as many mistakes as he did today again. Another upside is that, while he was more burnt than he has ever been in his life, he could still move and function unlike all the other training days. The fact that he could still move, and his chakra was full bothered Naruto, so he decided to come to the training ground to work himself to proper exhaustion. "Hey boss, come over here," one clone yelled from the other side of the field. Naruto went over to him to see what he was called over for. "Check this out," the clone said, holding out a leaf in his hands. Then right before Naruto's eyes the leaf split cleanly into two, as if sliced by the finest blade. "Finally, yes. I completed the first stage. Tell me, did any clones start on the second part?" "Yeah, there is a whole squad of clones down by the waterfall trying to split it in half. We already accomplished it a couple times, but we are trying to achieve it with less and less numbers until only one is needed to split the whole waterfall. This is great news. I'm guessing that since I didn't know about this previously that none of the clones working on this dispelled." The clone sheepishly laughed and rubbed the back of his head. "Oh yeah, I knew we were forgetting to do something. It's alright, just dispel now. I am sure the knowledge of this will help other groups a lot." "YOSH. Man, how come? More clones can't be like you." The clone didn't answer, it just smiled and dispelled itself into smoke. Boom. Well, that was what was supposed to happen, but instead of a cloud of smoke, it was an explosion of flames. Naruto barely jumped away, avoiding being burnt once again for the 100th time today. Naruto landed a few meters back and looked around to see all the clones laughing at him. Shortly after, he received the memories from the clones. It seems one group discovered how to make clones explode, and all the clones decided that it would be something funny to demonstrate on Naruto when they saw him come and already burnt. Thankfully, everything else that came out of the scheming clone's mouth was true. Naruto was tempted to massacre all the clones he had, if they weren't working to improve for his betterment. I swear, where the hell do they get this from? There is only a week and a half left until the third round of the Chunin Exams, and Naruto's training was very productive. Pervy Sage told him that they far exceeded what he expected to go over in just 1 month. Naruto was also coming up with more and more stuff to learn on his own too. He stopped going to Higarashi's to buy weights because he figured out how to mimic them with seals, and could now increase and decrease the amount of weight the seal was by application of his chakra. He mastered both exercises for fire and wind manipulation and was working on increasing his proficiency with all corresponding jutsus. When it came to sealing, Jiraiya told him that he was picking it up faster than his last student, and considering his last student was the 4th Hokage, Naruto decided to take that as a compliment. On a side note, Naruto was finally able to function. Normally after training with Jiraiya, he would only be sore for the rest of the day, and didn't have to immediately pass out. Naruto did come back to Higurashi a few days after he bought his sealing supplies, and he already completed a few deliveries. He has also been delivering explosive tags and sealing scrolls twice every week. Naruto figures that once he was back to doing active missions, he would never be short on money. Naruto visited Hinata a couple more times too, and even ran into Hanabi again. Those meetings went exactly as the last ones, ending with both Hyuga's faces red, although for different reasons. He also was learning when to make a strategic exit when someone was gunning for your head. Currently, Naruto was warming up in front of Jiraiya, getting ready for their first lesson. It took him a few minutes of nothing happening to realize that his sensei wasn't going to attack him anytime soon. Jiraiya beckoned him over with his hand, and gestured for him to sit down. "Alright Naruto, today I am going to teach you another jutsu." Naruto started jumping up and down in place, and was about to verbalize his excitement. Jiraiya cut him off before he could get too far in his celebration. "But this one will be a little different, kid." Naruto sat back down and stared at his sensei attentively. "What do you mean, pervy sage?" Jiraiya was agitated, but decided to ignore the disrespect at the moment. I mean that this jutsu was made by the fourth Hokage himself, who taught it to me, and I in turn will teach it to you. Naruto was looking starry-eyed at his teacher now. What is it? Jiraiya put out his hand out and a spinning mass of chakra formed spherically in his palm, the Rasengan. Naruto was mesmerized by the jutsu, and couldn't wait to learn it. Jiraiya reached into a previously unnoticed bag and pulled out 2 water balloons. He tossed one to Naruto and put the other in his right hand. First step is popping this balloon by spinning the water inside. Pop. Now you're not going to get it in your first try, bu dash. Pop, huh? Jiraiya looked over at Naruto and saw him with one wet hand and no balloon. You're right, it took me 2 tries. Jiraiya didn't know what to say, so he just stood there stammering. I mean, after it didn't work the first time, I just increased the rotations and bam. Yeah, whatever. Beginner's luck. Jiraiya pulled out a rubber ball and threw it at Naruto. Try to pop that with just your dash. Pop, come on. Really? Naruto deadpanned. If there is one thing my chakra has in spades is density and power. Yeah, whatever. The last step is combining both steps and then stabilizing it. Naruto tried the last step, but unlike the other ones, he failed miserably. He tried a few more times and didn't get any closer to making anything resembling what his teacher had shown him earlier. Harder than you thought it would be, huh? Jiraiya told him. The other 2 are really just to help with understanding the concept. This step is where you are going to need more than just natural ability and luck. Now try that later on your own time. We can start your regular training now. Naruto had just finished shopping for all the food he needed for his house. He also made a second trip to the library to see if he could glean any more useful information. Now all he had left to do was one more thing before he was done. Naruto discovered while he was training that it was easy for him to get a lot of cuts and scrapes. Naruto decided that the perfect thing for him to get to avoid all that was a mesh undershirt. An idea he got after seeing Jiraiya one day when they was sparring. Naruto walked into Higarashi's weapon shop, making the bell ring when he opened the door. Hello. How may I help you today? Said a familiar girl at the front counter. Hey, wait, I know you. You're the guy that's going to be facing Neji in the finals. Yeah, that's me. I'm Naruto, and if I remember correctly, you're one of his and Brushybrow's teammates, said Naruto. Brushybrow's, she repeated while chuckling. Yeah, that's me. The name's 1010. I don't think I have seen you here before. Is this your first visit? Nope, I've had more than a few visits here already. Now it's my turn to ask a question. Why are you dash? Naruto stopped. He remembered Ishii telling him how he had a daughter on a genin team that worked for him sometimes, and now that Naruto thought about 1010 had way too many weapons for any normal person to reasonably have. Never mind, I answered it myself. Okay? So what were you looking for? A mesh shirts that I could wear under my clothes. I also came to see if your dad had any more deliveries, but I can see that is a moot point. Deliveries? She questioned. Oh. My dad did say he found someone to take some of my load so I can train more. I guess you were the one he was talking about. Thanks for that. 1010 went and got out of a box a stack of mesh shirts that looked around Naruto's size. I think I got some that can fit you, but I'm not 100% sure. That's okay, said Naruto, before he started to remove his shirt. Whoa, what are you doing? Said 1010. Her face gaining a pink hue. It's not that she hasn't seen any guy shirtless before. She was just surprised at how suddenly Naruto started stripping. Well, I wasn't going to buy them and wait until I get home to find out I can't fit them. So I'm try it on now. Don't worry, I will still pay for the one I wear. That's not the problem here. 1010 was more shocked than anything. People normally had more reserve than this in public. Naruto finally got his shirt off, and 1010's jaw dropped when she saw his upper body. She would have never guessed that the boy wearing a bright orange jumpsuit would have such defined abs and a strong chest underneath it. Naruto put on the mesh clothing, and it didn't help to hide his body. The shirt barely fit and was tight around his lean muscular frame. Tenten had to admit that the buy made for good eye candy. Well, look at that. It fits perfect. One would think that it being so tight would make it uncomfortable, but it feels completely fine. Thanks, Tenten. I'll take the rest of the shirts. Tenten shook her head and continued to do her job. This isn't fair. I get 2 green weirdos and an uptight jerk, while the useless Pinky has 3 cute guys all on one team. Man, some people get all the luck. Naruto put his regular shirt back on and paid for his purchases. Thanks for the help, Tenten. No problem. It was a slow day and I was getting bored. Come around anytime you want. It was a new day, and Naruto was headed back to the hospital. Jiraiya came to his apartment that morning and told him he had 2 days to rest before the finals. Naruto was thankful he was finally getting a break. He always felt sore after their training, and that meant a lot considering he had advanced healing. Naruto made his way inside the building and quickly walked to Hinata's room. When he arrived, he heard some talking from behind the door, and wondered who else was visiting Hinata. Strangely enough, he hasn't ran into anybody else all the other times he had been here. Knock knock, come in. Naruto walked in and saw Hinata sitting on her bed back in her normal attire. Naruto noticed that there was someone else in the room glaring at him, and decided to ignore them. Hey Hinata. I see that you are finally getting out. You remember our plans to go to Ichiraku's? Hinata blushed a little from embarrassment. Why yeah, I remember. She glanced at the other person in the room for a second. So let's go. Right now is the perfect time to go because this is when less people usually come. I'm sorry I can't go. My father requested that I come straight home. Oh well, that sucks. This is something that shouldn't be put off. Naruto said disappointingly. Then he turned to the other occupant of the room who had been glaring at him icily the whole time. Naruto just looked at them with a blank look on his face, which just made the person glare harder. The room became quiet. Hinata didn't say anything because she wasn't sure how to settle the atmosphere. The other two just kept looking at each other. It seemed as if the silence would last forever, before Naruto suddenly broke it. Hinata, I think your baby sister might have gotten a few inches taller since I last saw her. Naruto said. Hanabi's face immediately twisted into a deathly glare. They grow so fast, don't they? You're just begging to die, aren't you? Hanabi growled out. I suggest you leave before I have to traumatize my littler sister. Huh, little sister? Asked Naruto, looking around in exaggeration. Where at? Like a replay of other times, Hanabi jumped at Naruto with plans to have him in pain, and on the she could get to him though, Hinata jumped in the way. Sister, wait. Get out of the way, Hinata, seethed Hanabi. He practically begged for it after he so boldly flirted. With you in front of my face. Whoa, hold up? Floor dash. Shut up. No one is speaking to you, oaf. Sister, you can't hurt him. He has a match in the Chunin Exams in a couple days. Maybe that's something he should have thought of before he disrespected me, as well as you. She turned her eyes to Naruto. Now, he'll be lucky to arrive in hers. Wait, his first match is against Niji. This was finally what got the smaller girl to stand down. Against Niji? Hanabi asked. Is that true? She asked Naruto. Yeah, and I'm going to beat him black and blue until he crawls back to Hinata and apologizes. Naruto answered. Hanabi just stared at Naruto for a few moments before turning around and leaving. Come on Hinata, father is expecting us. Bye Naruto. Hinata said while she made her way to the door. I hope we can get ramen another day. Naruto watched the two sisters leave with an unreadable expression on his face. It was only after a few seconds did he finally release a huge breath he had been holding. Man, I seriously thought I was going to die, he whined. What am I, retarded? It was officially the day of the finals and Naruto was happier than anyone else that it was here. The combined weight of the anticipation and the boredom was killing him, and he was sure he was going to start picking fights if he had to wait any longer. The night before he triple-checked all his gear and ran through what he knew in his head over and over again. He almost couldn't fall asleep because of his impatience, but the day was finally here. He worked long and hard this past month. He completed training for both of his affinities. Mastered countless techniques. Exhausted himself every day. All of that for this moment. Well, kind of, he was doing it to increase his skills to do better in the field, but since he was officially on a month break for the finals, primarily it was for the finals. Naruto woke up 2 hours before he had to be at the stadium, and started getting ready for the day. He put his clothes on, attached his ninja equipment, and did a few stretches. Naruto ditched his old clothes for some new threads. Something that looked better, which wasn't that hard to do, felt better, and lasted better. Naruto was finally ready to go, and he had an hour and 45 minutes left. Wanting to psych himself down so he could be in a calm mind, he went to the middle of his floor and started meditating. Yawn. Naruto stretched his arms and got up. He took a couple steps to orientate himself before he was stabilized. I think that was the best nap that I ever had, he said, rubbing his eyes. Maybe there is something to that meditation thing besides focus. I might start doing that every night. Naruto smacked his lips and looked around. I wonder what time it is. Naruto blearily spotted his clock on top of his nightstand. 7:59, almost 80-foot clock. Man, I swear something was happening at that time. He tapped his chin. Naruto walked towards his window and opened it up. He rested his head on the windowsill while he thought. It can't be Ichiraku's, they open way earlier than this, and I don't think I have any classes with Ero-Senin today. Maybe Ishii had a delivery for me to make, but I don't remember that. Naruto notices that the streets of Konoha are fuller and livelier than they usually are at around this time. I wonder what's up with all these people. They usually are only this festive on my birthday. It seems like they are all headed somewhere. He trails his eyes over the crowds to try and follow where they were going. Naruto saw that the masses all led to a big stadium in the corner of the village. Naruto stared at the arena for a few seconds, with a blank look. Then slowly but surely his eyelids started to lift wider and wider. If these idiots don't make it in time, I am going to kill them both, growled a pink-haired girl with green eyes. Currently all but 2 of the participants of the third stage were standing in the center of the arena. The crowd was nearly full and was bursting with excitement. The noise level made it hard for anyone to hear more than just immediately around them. The rest of the genin who got knocked out in previous stages were sitting together in the stands near the front. All of them were there to show support and to be entertained. Sakura Haruno, the only member of Team 7 that didn't make it past the preliminary round, was sitting next to her best friend Ino Yamanaka. She had her fist balled up, and had a look of worry written all over her face. The cause of this was because of the fact that the 2 people who were missing were her teammates. Disqualified before they can even fight. Neither of them could stand to go out like that, so what's with them? Sakura moaned. Ino looked towards her friend, then back to the arena. Come on Sakura, you just said it yourself. Both of them would die before they would miss their fights. They'll be here. I hope, Sakura mumbled, looking anything but reassured. Those 2 certainly weren't the only ones to notice the absence of Team 7's genin. How unyouthful. It seems that my rival has managed to pass on his uncouth ways to his students. Yelled out Guy. I must agree, thought Kurenai, if Kakashi's students aren't even going to bother to show up, then Kiba's loss in the preliminary will have been for nothing. Kurenai vowed to herself that she would hospitalize Kakashi if his students don't show up, particularly Naruto. I don't really care if they ever show up. If it happens that there is less competition for Shikamaru, then I won't complain. Asuma said with a heavy blow of smoke. Down in the arena, Shikamaru was unsettled by the change of events. Shit. If neither Naruto nor Sasuke show up, the chances of me getting that psychopath rises by an uncomfortable amount. I am usually all for less work, but today I would like something to stand in between me and that Sanjenin. Sigh, what a drag. So he couldn't even manage to show up, huh? I guess he realized that a failure will always be a failure. Fate ordains it. Niji was largely unaffected by the fact that Naruto hasn't shown up. It was just him not having to go through what he assumed would be an easy battle. Now the Uchiha's non-attendance is a cause for me to think about. I am sure he wouldn't pass up an opportunity to show how elite his clan is. I very much looked forward to putting him in his place. Mother wants the Uchiha's blood. Where is he? Thought Gaara. He also thought back to when he went to finish killing the Green Genin, and how he was stopped and denied from his desire. I want to kill that blonde boy for myself as well. Hate, who is still alive obviously, looked around for the two missing fighters. Man, the crowd won't be happy if it turns out that the main event will be denied to them, and I kinda wanted to see what Naruto could do myself. Hate looked at the entrance of the arena. Cough, will all the competitors clear the floor? Cough, except Uzumaki, Naruto and Hyuga Niji. The first fight is about to begin, cough. The crowd started to quiet down when they saw the floor clearing, but the noise level immediately rose again with questions when they saw the absence of an opponent for the fight. Back in the stands, the indigo-haired Hyuga was sitting in worry for the object of her affection. Oh no, Naruto was going to be disqualified if he doesn't show up. She didn't want to think about how he would feel if that happened. Naruto-kun, where are you? Damn it. I'm late, Naruto screamed, blurring past rooftops. After all that care I put into waking up at a decent time, I just had to go have a nap and oversleep. Shit. Naruto was jumping from roof to roof, skipping 2 or 3 buildings every now and then. It didn't help that his apartment was on the other side of the village from the arena, so he still had ways to go if he wanted to make it in time for his match. The world started to blur by for Naruto, and he started thinking how he never noticed that the village was so damn big before. I gotta pick up the pace. Naruto pushed even more chakra in his legs than before, and his surroundings became even more indiscernible. Naruto was only 1 street away from the stadium when he messed up. On his way up to a higher structure, he accidentally tripped on a tile, sending him flying way up into the air. Fortunately, he was going so fast that the momentum caused him to fly over the arena. Unfortunately, he was in mid-air and was going past over the entire place. Naruto had to think fast if he was going to make it to his match in time. He needed some way to land immediately. He brainstormed and tried to think of the most efficient way to do it, and it didn't take him long for him to come up with a plan. His signature juster really was the most handy thing he could have ever learned. Naruto mad the seals for the shadow clone jutsu. Poof. Another Naruto appeared next to him. No instructions were needed as he was sure the clone already knew what to do. It has been a full minute since the announcement for the first match to start had went out, and there has been no signs of anyone moving towards the floor. The crowd was starting to get restless, and soon enough were going to start verbally addressing their displeasure in bulk. Many people have started rummaging through their bags and looking around on the floor for projectiles to throw, and others were about to start to yell for them to move on. The crowd gradually started to match and exceed the volume level it had reached before. Hate wasn't really pleased about what he was going to do, but he had a duty to uphold, and nothing can get in the way of that. He raised his hands to get the crowd's attention. Little by little the spectators noticed and started to quiet down. Hate cleared his throat. Due to the failure to cough show up, Hate started. Uzumaki Naruto is dash. Fwum. Suddenly a orange figure was rocketing towards the ground. No one was able to make out the identity of the unexpected anomaly. Several of the higher skilled ninjas could see what it looked like, and could perfectly keep track of its descent, but they were unable to figure out the face. Almost every ninja Chunin and above tensed because of the abrupt appearing of the unknown, and were ready to dispose of it if need be. Boom! The unforeseen object collided with the ground, kicking up dirt and obscuring the landing from view. Everyone was on the edge of their seats, bubbling with apprehension, waiting to find out what or who they would see when their vision was no longer concealed. No one in the crowd knew what awaited them beyond the dust. Well, maybe not no one. Naruto, sighed out the old Hokage. You always have to make a scene, don't you? The elderly Sarutobi looked down at the arena fondly. He knew today was going to be a bad day, but he could always look forward to seeing his surrogate grandson. The cloak of grime started to disappear, and the first thing that people saw was a short figure that had a mop of spiky, blonde hair. As more of the dust cleared, it was discovered that whoever they was looking at wasn't short but was in a crouch. Finally, the ground was empty of almost all things in the air, and a clear picture of what they was dealing was available for everyone to see. Many people looked at the person on the ground in confusion, as they didn't recognize them. A lot had already thought it might have been the fighter that was about to miss the match, but whoever they were seeing now, and whatever they remember of that boy, didn't match up, so they were left in uncertainty. Some of the audience did recognize the individual at sight, but was also similarly hesitant due to a difference in wardrobes. Now down in the arena, Naruto was recovering from his rapid landing as well. He knew that he was going to be descending fast when his clone grabbed his legs and threw him towards the earth, but he didn't expect it to be that speedy. There was no way he could have came out standing when he crashed into the earth, so he landed in a crouch to soften the impact to a specific part of his body. It still stung like hell though. It took Naruto a good couple seconds for him to regain his bearings enough for him to even attempt standing up. Everyone in the stands saw Naruto stand up, and were quickly able to confirm the suspension many of them had already formed. What they saw next threw them for a loop, because instead of the bright orange that Naruto usually had on, he now had on a different set of attire. Naruto had on grayish-green shorts on that went up past his knees, but above his ankles. He had on a black undershirt that seemed to be loose enough to allow mobility, but not big enough to be considered baggy. He wore black sandals, and armbands on his ankles and wrist, which, unknown to the crowd, hold his few in just a formula that adds weight. Finally, to top of his garbs, he was wearing an burnt orange sleeveless hoodie over top of his undershirt. The shade of orange was much more appealing to the eye than the last, and that was a fact that everyone would agree with. Naruto looked out towards the audience, running his eyes over each section. "Sorry I'm late," Naruto announced to the arena. The wind picked up a little, and started to blow around the arena, causing Naruto's hair to flow in the wind. His blonde locks shining as if the sun blessed it to be its counterpart on the planet. The entire stadium was quiet for a while, with only the blowing of the wind making sounds. Then simultaneously the pitch raised once again. In all the Chunin exams that a lot of the crowd has been to, no one has made an entrance as eye-catching as Naruto's. The Chunin exams was a spectacle that civilians always looked forward to, and before the first fight even began, it was clear that these exams would be an exciting one. Up in the section where the clan sat at, a small short-tempered Hyuga started going red in the face. She was already frustrated at the blonde for almost not making it to the match, but the way in which he arrived just prickled at her nerves even more. Is this guy serious? Tenten, Ino, Sakura, and Hinata, who all decided to sit together, had different reactions to Naruto's entrance. Hinata had a fond smile on her face, knowing that what just happened was just like Naruto. If this idiot was late because he was setting this up, then the next time I see him I'm going to punch his lights out. Sakura just growled to herself. I hope Sasuke didn't get pulled into Naruto's dumb ideas. Ino smiled at Sakura and nudged her with her shoulder. Come on, you have to admit that he looks pretty cool right about now. Tenten stared at the spectacle down in the arena and whistled. Wow, what a way to start the first. Too bad he's going to lose the match. Ahem cleared his throat and raised his hand. The crowd slowly but surely settled down to listen to what the proctor had to say. Naruto, you were this close to being disqualified. Luckily you showed up in the nick of time, no matter how unique your entrance was. He. This time Naruto actually laughed sheepishly, while he had a sweat drop slide down his head. Neji just stared at Naruto, as if the dust on his shoe got up and came to life. I must commend you on your courage to come over and face me like a man, but I have to also berate you on your foolishness of actually fighting me. You should have just stayed home, we both know it's hopeless. Neji said to Naruto smugly. Like hell I will, I already promised you that I won't be happy until you're black and blue." Naruto reached into one of his pockets and pulled out his new black forehead protector. He tied the piece of metal onto his head and adjusted it. Then he pointed his thumb towards the leaf insignia. "And I never go back on my word." Neji scoffed. "If the both of you are done," interrupted the proctor. "Then let the match begin," he announced. The proctor swiftly jumped out of the hot zone and settled at a distance to observe the fight. "This could be interesting," said Hayashi from the stands where the Hyugas were sitting. "Neji has one of the most developed Byakugan in the clan. It's even stronger than your sister's." "Tusan is wrong," Hanabi thought to herself. "Niji's eyes can only see what is around him better than Nei-san, but hers can see over incredibly distances that are unheard of in the clan. She just doesn't want to show it off." Neither Neji or Naruto moved, and it didn't seem like either of them would. Of course, as always, Naruto was the first to attack. He could only hold out for so long. He palmed several kunai in his hand and launched them at Neji in a single motion. Neji didn't even dignify the offensive move as something to be worried about. The Hyuga just moved his head out of the way and let the projectiles fly past, leaving Neji unharmed. Naruto took out even more kunai and threw them towards Neji at a faster rate. Neji couldn't just move his head to avoid them this time, so he plucked the closest one out of the air and used that to deflect the other ones. Already I can tell that his perception and coordination are way above any genin I have ever seen. It seems I will have to make this a close-ranged battle, or I can surprise him and give him less time to react. Just because he can see everything doesn't mean he can dodge it. Naruto mused. I also want to keep how much I've improved this moth to myself, for as long as possible. I don't want to give all my skills away and give my next opponents time to devise ways to counter them, and I want to conserve as much chakra as possible. The best way to do this is to make this a up-and-personal fight. Too bad I have to get the Taijutsu prodigy first, which means I am probably going to come out of this hurting. Well, as long as I hold back. Naruto started to run to Neji, intending to start a hand-to-hand fight with him. A move many people thought was foolish and stupid. In the stands with the genin, several ninjas jumped up to tell Naruto of his mistake. "What are you doing, you idiot? There is no way you can fight a Hyuga one-on-one like that," yelled Kiba. "Come on, Naruto. Use your head," screamed Sakura. Tenten looked at the battle with a conflicted look on her face. "I hate to say it, but I don't think that it matters whether or not Naruto attacks head-on or not. He's going to lose regardless." All of the genin around her stopped and started to stare at her, some in intrigue, and some with rising anger. No offense to Naruto, but no genin in the leaf is stronger than Neji. Trust me, I know this personally to be true since I trained with him, especially after this month. He isn't going to be defeated no matter what Naruto does. Many of her listeners started getting contemplated looks on their faces, and even if they didn't believe what she said to be true, couldn't deny the superiority that Neji had. "You're wrong," a voice yelled out, breaking the silence. Everyone looked towards the sound, and found Hinata standing out of her seat with a defiant look on her face. "Neji is not the strongest genin in the village. Maybe I would agree with you if skill had to do with strength, but it doesn't, it only has to do with spirit. Naruto has been through more, and has overcome more things than anyone else, and he has never backed down. Naruto is the strongest genin because he has the brightest spirit, and no one can say any difference. Naruto Uzumaki never gives up, that's why he will win." Hinata said all this without even stuttering once. All the Konoha genin looked at her in a new light. They never knew she had so much fire in her. Back down on the floor, Naruto was quickly approaching Neji. "Bastard. He still isn't taking me serious by activating his Byakugan. I'm all for having an advantage by someone underestimating me, but something about him doing it when he is the same level as me pisses me off." Naruto finally reached his destination and came in with a soaring punch aimed at Neji's face. The feminine Hyuga leaned his body to the side to avoid the blow, sending Naruto flying past him. Naruto stopped himself by planting his hands on the ground, and used his momentum to swing his legs around to execute a leg sweep. Neji flipped backwards, and landed on his feet. He pushed off his heels and came speeding at Naruto with a palm thrust. Naruto deflected the strike with his hand while in a spin, bringing his elbow around to hit Niji's face. Niji could only stop the strike by bringing his other arm up to block it. Ack! His way faster than expected. I didn't expect him to be able to stop one of my attacks, and all of his come in split seconds, Niji thought. The two of them struggled for dominance for a few moments before they broke off by jumping away. They stared at each other for a few more seconds before they re-engaged. They both started fighting to see who could get the first hit in, but as the minutes wore on, nobody was able to land a successful strike. Niji had more nimbleness, meaning he could maneuver past Naruto strikes to deliver his own, but Naruto had good reflex and timing and could always avoid the hits at the last second. Then Naruto would twist his body to use his motion as a way to not stop moving. Naruto, using this, became a constant barrage of attacks that never stopped. It was a fight between two types of agility. One agile in body, able to move quickly and easily, and one agile in mind, able to think and draw conclusions quickly. The stalemate continues in this pattern for several minutes before Naruto jumped away and back to his side of the arena. Ha! Finally come to see reason, and realized your inability to win. Give up, it's your fate. Niji gloated. As if. I'm just getting started. Naruto shot back. As if. Surely you realize that if you can't defeat me while I don't have my bloodline activated, that it's hopeless when I do. Whatever. Did you really think you was the only one holding back? Naruto made a seal, and released one level of 3 on the seals he had, restraining his speed. Now get ready. 'Cause the real battle starts now. With that, Naruto shot towards Niji in a burst of speed, kicking up dirt at his starting position. He was so fast Niji only had time to seamlessly activate his bloodline before Naruto came at him with a fist. Niji narrowly avoided the punch by twisting backwards, going into a backflip, but when he came back up, Naruto was already on him with another punch. Niji could only parry this one with his palm, directing the hand downward. Too bad Naruto used that motion to execute a front flip aimed for Niji's face. Niji narrowly jumped out of the way, in the nick of time. A feat he was even happier for when he saw the mini crater and cracks Naruto left on the ground from his kick. Niji only got a second of relief because Naruto moved his foot onto its toes and launched back at him. Through all this, Niji didn't even have time to get an attack. Up in the stands, Naruto's friends and their senseis looked on in shock at his display of speed. Naruto-kun's flames of youth shine brightly today, proclaimed Guy. Meanwhile, the other Jonin senseis looked at the scene dumbstruck. What the hell has Kakashi been doing with him, was the collective thought running through their minds. Lee was cheering for Naruto as he has never seen someone get this close to beating Niji other than him, and he had to admit that Naruto was doing better. Naruto-kun's fighting style is far more effective against the gentle fist than the strong fist. Also, not only can he go nearly as fast as me, but he can also react and counter in an instant. Over by the other genin, they were also looking at Naruto in awe. All they could see, unlike the veteran shinobi, was Naruto disappearing and reappearing with a strike, and that happening over and over again with Niji barely dodging the blows. He's looks like he's as fast as Lee, stuttered out 1010. I knew he got some weights from our store, but to obtain Lee's speed in just a month is insane. Sakura. What the heck did Naruto do to train this whole month? Asked Ino in a stupor. I'm not sure, I only saw him in passing a couple times this month. I heard that Kakashi found him a teacher though, replied Sakura. Well, whoever trained him was amazing. If Naruto could have done this a month ago, I wouldn't even have lasted a second. Kiba grumbled. How did he get so strong? That's not fair. Up in the Hokage booth, neither leader said anything, but if one looked at their eyes you could see them filled with surprise and interest. Though two different type of interests were brewing in their heads. It was silent in the participant booth as well, everyone too shocked to speak. I figured Naruto got way stronger than he was before, but this is unbelievable. What a drag. This exam is becoming more troublesome by the minute, complained Shikamaru in his head. Shit. What the hell? Most likely that Uchiha kid got stronger as well. Those damn genin might cause some hindrances to the plan, thought Temari, gritting her teeth. Gaara had a maniacal grin plastered all over his face. Mother wants his blood. He's strong, he will be able to prove my existence. Mother wants his blood. Kankuro had a concerned look on his face, but that's about it. Shino was also quiet, but he only adopted a look of intrigue. Dosu, who, yes, is still alive, only held a confident look on his face, not at all disturbed by the skill being shown on the field. Back in the arena, Naruto was getting tired of Neji avoiding his attacks and decided to end the lack of progression he was having. Naruto came in for a clothesline, forcing Neji to duck under his arm. When he did that, Naruto put his hands together to create the Shadow Clone Seal. Poof! A clone appeared right above Neji's crouched form to deliver a flying kick. Neji jumped back to avoid contact with its foot. The original Naruto already was coming back for follow-up attack, but Neji twisted to avoid that, dodging that as well. As Neji turned back around, he saw Naruto flying towards him faster than all other times before, and he knew he couldn't dodge it. The only thing he could do was put his arms up and across to absorb the hit for him. Smack! The sound of contact echoes around the arena, signifying the first solid hit that anyone has made all match. Neji went sliding a couple feet back, but before he could recover, the two blonde ninja were back on him again. Neji was getting tried to defend with all his might, but as time went on he received more and more hits. Neji didn't particularly like being tossed around, so he jumped away from Naruto once he found an opening. Neji landed across the field, and wiped the blood off his lips. Why do you continue to defy fate? Neji snarled. You will always be a failure, nothing can change that. So just accept your destiny, and give up. I thought I already told you. Naruto retorted, making a familiar seal once again. I can't do that. Poof. 3 more clones of Naruto appeared, bringing the total up to 5. The original Naruto then gave the signal for them to charge. They all started running towards Neji, 2 of them even launching into the air, to duo attack from above. Naruto was serious about his promise to beat Neji down, that's why he summoned 4 clones to help him. The Naruto were closing into Neji, and to all of the crowd it seemed as this was going to be the end of the fight. All of the crowd, that is, except Tenten. Tenten shook her head. Too bad, Naruto, Neji has trained all month and you're not the only one to become stronger. This is why it is certain you will lose. The rest of the genin just looked at her in confusion. She just shook her head and continued to watch the match. Down in the arena, Neji looked at the approaching adversaries with a calculating look. Neji then began to smile cockily. You fool, he said condescendingly. I told you already. Naruto and his clone closed in on Neji, but before any hits could land, they suddenly met a strange resistance. A second later, visible chakra started to leak from Neji, which made clear what was being used to slow Naruto. Neji started twirling in a circle. Give up. The spinning Hyuga was being encased in what looked like a twisting dome of chakra. Kaiten, Naruto and his copies were blown back by the force of the attack to the other side of the stadium, dispelling the clones in the process. He hit the ground and slid for a few more meters, and was a bit disorientated, causing him to stay down for a little longer than normal. Hinata was looking at her cousin with a shocked look on her face. How? That's Dash. Kaiten, yelled Hayashi, standing up in the midst of the crowd. That's a technique only known by the main branch, how was he able to learn it? Hanabi just looked odd. I already knew that Neji-san was considered a genius, but to recreate that jutsu by himself is amazing. What was that? Questioned Sakura. That was the 8 trigrams palms rotation. A move that Neji has been working on all month. It's an impenetrable wall of chakra that comes from all over his body. A lot of ninjas can only direct their chakra out of their body from one place in their body at a time, like their hands or their feet. Neji's mastery over his chakra is so good that he is able to push it out from multiple places at once, creating what is called kaiten. I tested its defense myself, the technique is basically impossible to break. Down back in the arena, Naruto had almost recovered and was catching his breath on the opposite side from where Neji was. Naruto had to figure out a way to overcome the new obstacle that just appeared. First, he decided he had to test how strong that attack was. Naruto pulled out a handful of shuriken and held them at ready. "Let's see how you handle this, bastard." Naruto threw all the weapons in his hands, then made a single hand seal. Shuriken Shadow Clone Jutsu. Up in the stands, the two Kages were shocked by the jutsu that Naruto just showed. The Hokage didn't even know many other than him knew that jutsu, while the Kazekage's eyes seemed to shine bright with greed. All over the crowd, ninjas were shocked by the jutsu that was famed to be used by the god of shinobi. They all noted how in one match Naruto showed above proficient use in two high-ranked justice. Naruto released barrage after barrage of shuriken which multiplied and became a dozen each. The only way that Neji could avoid this attack is if he used Kaiten again, so that's what he did. Neji's sphere of chakra was getting pelted by wave after wave of endless shuriken, but it didn't seem to be wavering anytime soon. Naruto stopped throwing shuriken and reached in his pouch to grab 3 explosive tags attached to kunai. "Try this." He threw the timed explosive across the field and to the still spinning Hyuga. Naruto waited patiently for the smoke to clear to see if Neji's Kaiten was able to stop that attack as well. Naruto wasn't the only one. Almost every single person in the crowd was sitting in anticipation in whether or not Neji avoided the blast. When the smoke was cleared, everyone saw a perfectly non-harmed Neji standing in the center of a circle engraved in the ground in the center of a bigger crater. It didn't take a genius to know what that meant. The crowd went wild, clearly excited by the match that they originally had low expectations for. "Don't you see you cannot fight against fate? Only a fool would dream to become Hokage when they clearly aren't destined to be." "Grr, shut up. What the hell is your problem talking about fate like that? Everyone can decide their own future, but..." "Ha! Let me show you reality. The thing which is a reminder of my fate." Neji then pulled off his headband and showed Naruto his caged bird seal. "This seal defines my entire life, and there is nothing I can do to escape it." Neji then went on to tell him the history of his family, about the death of his father, and his duties towards the clan. The more Naruto heard, the madder he became. He was mad at Neji, the Hyugas, and the village for allowing this to happen. "These eyes of mine show me many things. One thing they've shown me: people's limitations are set, fixed, and unchangeable. Only a fool wastes his time trying to become something he can never be. The only destiny that everyone shares is death. If it's your job to serve Hinata-chan, then why the hell did you almost try to kill her in the preliminary? That's the opposite of everything you just told me." Naruto roared out. "You say that I am an idiot for fighting to change my life, when you were trying to defy fate just like me. We're exactly alike." Neji's face turned into the pure definition of the word rage. "Shut up, you don't know what you are talking about," he screamed. Neji launched towards Naruto in a considerably faster speed than whatever he was going before. Neji's hands started glowing blue in concentration of chakra. "You are now within the range of my divination, impossible!" yelled Hayashi. An opinion that was shared by several clan members. "No way. It can't be," a whispered Hanabi. 8 trigrams, 64 poems. Neji delivered 2 consecutive strikes. Naruto moved out of the way of those 2 poems. Neji then did 2 more strike. Naruto dodged them too. 4 poems. Neji now did 4 strikes, something which Naruto was hard-pressed to not get hit by. 8 poems. Neji came with 8 strike. Naruto felt as if he almost was hit once or twice. 16 poems. Neji followed with 16 consecutive strikes, more than a few scraped Naruto's clothes. 32 poems. Hinata looked at Naruto in a mixture of awe and worry. Naruto-kun dodged all of Neji's attacks. Now if only he can keep it up. Expectantly Neji started to grin, throwing Naruto for a loop. He started going twice as fast as before, catching Naruto off guard, and rendering him vulnerable. Naruto was receiving 32 consecutive strikes courtesy of Neji, and they were way more fierce than before. Naruto tried his best to not get hit, but from the stinging in his left arm, he knew he failed. Neji stepped forward and thrust his palm out to deliver a strong hit to finish off the move. Naruto only by a hair length maneuvered his body so that his already hurt left arm took the brunt of the attack. 64 palms. Naruto-kun whimpered. Hinata. Naruto was sent sailing through the air, only touching the ground for a second and then to skid and bounce back up. Naruto was able to stop himself by using his right hand as friction to slow himself down. Naruto was disorientated for a few minutes, but was finally able to stumble to his feet. He was breathing in rapid breaths, and was cradling his left arm with his right. I have told you, fate has always decreed me winner, you had no chance. This match is over. Gore. Don't count me out yet, retorted Naruto. Why not? It's useless to continue. Without both your arms you are unable to perform that cloning technique you love so much, and the rate and effectiveness of your attacks by yourself decrease enormously. Not only that, but also you have to carry around dead weight around, which won't help you at all, especially considering you're exhausted. There is no point in fighting. I am in perfect condition, and I have more than enough chakra left. Unlike others, I don't waste it by constantly doing fancy jutsus and wasted strokes. Please spare yourself of any further pain, gloated Neji. The stands resonated with the sound of countless people voicing how they thought that time was up for the orange aspiring rookie genin. He had a good run, but it seems that Neji was still able to best him in the end, commented Asuma. No. I believe that Naruto-kun's flame of youth have not been put out yet, replied Guy. I also believe that, Guy-sensei. Naruto-kun would not let such a disadvantage hold him back from trying to win, agreed Lee. Naruto is not getting back up from that. Tenten told everyone. Like I said before, it was over once Neji started his attack. I knew it from the beginning, no one in the leaf can beat Neji. I doubt it. Sakura said, drawing everyone's attention. Naruto isn't the type of guy to stop fighting in any situation, even if he has lost an arm. Trust me on that one. I feel you on that one, but even if he still fights, what can he do to win against this guy? It seems it's the end of the road for Naruto. Kiba responded. In the participant booth, almost everyone was in the single opinion that the match's victor was decided. The cute blonde kid seemed like he had it for a while. It seemed like his luck had to run out sometime, stated Temari. Shikamaru yawned, then started to chuckle loudly. I wouldn't be so sure about that. I might not have seen a lot of Naruto in battle, but I have known Naruto for a long time, and knows how he would act in almost every situation the lazy Nara started, and almost every time the chips were down, and things seemed impossible for him, Naruto came back 10 times harder. The booth got quiet after that revelation. TCH. Whatever, scoffed Kankuro. It seems Saratobi has raised a fine container. I wonder if this is the end for it. I've had quite the fun watching him, said a snake in his mind. Back in the arena, Neji was still standing proudly in the center, while Naruto was trying to recover himself while thinking of a plan. Naruto couldn't feel the natural flow of chakra he usually feels in his left arm. In fact, he couldn't feel anything at all. The whole arm was numb, and somehow at the same time it burned. Naruto knew it was useless to even try to move the appendage. Naruto had did a good job in directing most of Neji's landed hits to one area, but he was still disappointed he lost his entire left arm. He knew that with the combination of his and the Kyuubi's chakra that his arm would be back to normal in no time, but the problem was that by the time his arm would be in any shape to go again, this match would be long over. Naruto brainstormed all the ways he could still win shit. With the loss of my arm, there is only a limited number of ways that I can win, and they all include revealing something I don't want to be shown yet. And if it gets out now, then they can be countered by plans in later matches. Naruto mused to himself for a few moments before he came to a decision. All right. It seems I have no other choice than to show some of my hand. I just need to execute in a way that leaves everyone with the fewest questions. Considering I am going to have to do it with one hand already tells me that the fewest questions is still going to be way too many. Naruto released the second level of only the seal on his right wristband. He could feel chakra surging into his working hand and flowing all throughout it. Naruto started to gather as much energy as he could in his fist before he rocketed off. Neji saw that Naruto was continuing the battle by running towards him. How persistent, almost like a cockroach, Neji growled. Neji got in a steady position, ready to do what need be based on whatever Naruto was doing. Naruto was pacing his way to Neji. He wanted time to build up his attack. There was now so much chakra pulsing in his arm that it was emitting a faint glow. When Naruto felt he had gathered enough chakra, he started going through hand seals with one hand. A feat which no one in the crowd missed. What is he doing? Is that even possible? I heard of ninjas that could use one hand, but never a genin. This must be a fluke he is using to throw his competitor off guard. The crowd echoed with the sound of everyone's astonishment of Naruto's new reveal. Orochimaru stared at Naruto with wide, yellow, slit pupil eyes. His whole body was shaking in apprehension. One-handed seals, huh? Ooh, Sarutobi-sensei, you found yourself a real gem, haven't you? I wonder what his limits are. How would he match up against Sasuke? Cackled the Sannin in his head. The wind started picking up around Naruto, spinning and whirling swiftly. The air became so intense it was visible, and it started howling like an old sorrowful spirit that never moved on. Naruto finished the hand signs for the jutsu, completing the preparation needed. The wind started to swirl around and encase Naruto's fist, giving it a coat of twisting currents. To the spectators it looked as if half of his right arm was replaced by a miniature tornado. Naruto, having completed the jutsu, sped up and blurred away to finish Neji with it. Neji, seeing the approaching doom running towards him, inferred the only way to get ahead of the oncoming attack unscratched was with Kaiten. Neji started pushing out chakra from everywhere again, and started to rotate. Why won't you quit? Soon enough Neji was inside a perfect sphere of spinning chakra. Naruto was right in front of the dome now, and he cocked his right fist back in preparation to punch. Because I'll don't ever give up. Naruto slammed his fist into the Hyuga's prized jutsu. Kaiten. Kami Ken. The resulting force from the clash of the two jutsus caused everyone from any of the rows near the front to be pressed back against their seats. A whirlwind of chakra overcame the arena, forcing many to hold on to something in fear of being knocked down. It looked like a blue vortex, with the eye being Naruto and Neji. The duo continued to fight for dominance. The harder they pushed, the wilder the environment became. Both of their respective jutsu gaining strength and size as time went on. It was as if two unstoppable forces were ramming against each other. Neither side seemed to be gaining, when all of a sudden everything exploded. Boom! A figure shot out of the smoke and slammed into the wall on the side of the stadium. The smoke cleared faster than usual this time, and everyone saw that in the center of the arena was Naruto with his hands still stretched out. Neji was sliding down the wall, ending up on his butt on the ground. Unfortunately, he still wasn't unconscious. Gay Neji spit out some blood. I'm not finished yet. Yeah. Naruto said, then he made a half ram/half tiger seal with his hand. We'll see about that. The ground below Neji cracked and a fist came flying out of the ground. Neji was uppercut by the emerging Naruto, and then a subsequent kick sent him flying back towards the center of the arena. Naruto took advantage of this by slamming his fist into Neji's face when he finally reached the center. The crack that came afterwards was heard and felt by everybody. Neji just dropped from the air like someone cut all the strings to a puppet. His face was bruised and had blood leaking from it. The rest of his body didn't look any better. Then the Naruto in the center of the arena burst into smoke, only leaving the one by the wall. Naruto walked up to the lying form of Neji's body. I don't think you're totally wrong. I do believe in destiny and things that are fated to be, but I believe it is impossible to know what they are, so there is no point trying to predict it. If you work hard, you can fight against anything that is set in your way. Naruto said. Besides, you aren't the only one with a seal that defines you. The proctor looked at Neji's body for a few moments to see if there was any sign of retaliation. After it was clear that the match was over, he raised his hand high up into the air. The winner of the first match is Uzumaki Naruto. The crowd started to go wild again, most of them thinking that the battle was one of the most entertaining they have ever witnessed. Of course, many of them always have the same thought until they see another match. The ninjas in the crowd all had to admit that Naruto did way better than expected and surprised them at every turn the whole match. Wow. He actually won, said Tenten in disbelief. I mean, it's not that I wanted him to lose, but didn't think he could actually win. Man, who would have thought that the dead last will beat the rookie of the year? Sure as hell not me, Kiba spoke. This isn't even the final fight, it's only the first match, we still have many more to go. Ino said. Sasuke-kun still didn't show up though, and I am getting worried Sakura, looking around the crowd. I knew you could do it, Naruto-kun, thought Hinata. I hope one day I can get that strong. The Jonin sensei was surprised by the results as well. Oh aye. Naruto-kun shall become my new rival, for if I can surpass him, I will have surpassed Neji, ultimately making me stronger, shouted Lee. That's the spirit, Lee. Once you're off those crutches, you can begin to follow your dreams. Guy said in an equally loud voice. It seems Shikamaru has his work cut out for him if he wants to become Chunin, Asuma said, breathing out smoke. But knowing him, he probably finds the whole idea of being a Chunin troublesome. Kurenai just snorted in agreement. What do you know, Naruto has an affinity for Windha. Kotetsu and Izumo had been watching the entire match in the crowds, and were proud of what their favorite genin could do. Already one match and we probably have a Shuin Chunin, Izumo said. Yeah, you're telling me. We haven't even reached the main event and the crowd is going crazy. Kotetsu responded back. In the participant booth, everyone was raising their hazard level on the recent winner. What do you know, Blondie still came out of it ahead. He's a wind user to not many of those in the leaf. Tamari said. I wonder if the other guy is going to show up, or if he is going to be disqualified. Kankoro asked. I heard people were looking forward to that match between him and Gaara. Man, they don't know what they are talking about. It doesn't matter how much stronger the brat got, Dosu thought. He still fall to the might of my arm, then I will show my true worth to that bastard. Neji lost. Hayashi said in a blank tone. To the others around him, they thought he was upset about the turn of events, but to their surprise he started laughing. Ha ha ha, I should have expected this. Even from the grave you best me. I guess the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree after all, or more like tomato. Hayashi started cracking up again. Many of the Hyuga feared for his mental health, and asked if he needed to go to the hospital. Hayashi just waved them off. See Hanabi, that is a splendid shinobi. Hayashi stared at Naruto as his smile turned wistful. Father has no idea what he's talking about, but still to hear him compliment another ninja is rare. Hanabi stared at Naruto in the stadium, who was running around accepting praise from the audience. I'll have to thank him later for finally kicking Neji off that high horse he was on. I've been wanting to do it myself since he sent Hinata to the hospital. Hanabi scoffed. Stupid clan politics. Up in the Kage booth, the Hokage was positively beaming. Oh, how strong you have become. Even in times like these your will of fire still shines brighter than ever. Next to him the supposed Kazekage just stared at Naruto with excitement in his eyes. I've had more fun than I expected watching you fight, brat. It would be a shame to stop it so early. The Kazekage cleared his throat. Hokage-sama, I have an interesting proposal for you, if you would hear me out. The Hokage looked towards his fellow Kage with a questioning look on his face. Naruto was in the middle of the field congratulating himself, when suddenly his vision was filled with leaves. Whoosh. In a swirl of leaves, back to back, appeared the missing genin Sasuke, and his sensei Kakashi. Also, Naruto wasn't the only one to change his get-up. Does that whole team have a problem with regular entrances or something? Questioned Kurenai. Sakura was holding her head in her arms. They both have flashy entrances and new clothes. They must have planned this together, she whined. Please, if this is all you have to complain about with your teammates, then you don't know how good you have it. Tenten said. I'm not late for my match, am I? This is all my sensei's fault. Sasuke directed towards the proctor. Nope Sasuke, you're right on time, answered Naruto instead. Sasuke and Kakashi both noticed Naruto standing a couple feet in front of them. Sasuke studies Naruto for a moment, then looked around, his eyes finally landing on a knocked-out Neji being carried away by the medics. So he won his match, huh? I guess it is nothing less than expected when Jiraiya-sama asked me for him to train Naruto, mused Kakashi. So you've managed to win your fight, huh? Started Sasuke. It would have been disappointing for you to get booted out before you made it to me. Lose this match, and miss the chance to kick your ass, as if boasted Naruto. Hey you wish idiot, responded Sasuke. Just wait and see, Sasuke shot back Naruto. They both gave each other feral grins, which spoke of the anticipation they had for their upcoming battle, and if the looks on their faces was anything to go by, neither of them would play nice. I guess I'll see you after this match, Naruto said. He started retreating towards the stairs which would lead to where the rest of the participants are. You better not lose, he called back. Sasuke didn't, though the statement was so pointless that it didn't even dignify a response. All of the sudden a ninja jumped down and whispered something in Hayate's ear. Hayate listened to the message and nodded his head in verification. It seems we have a last-minute change given directly from Lord Hokage, Hayate stated, stopping everyone in their tracks. Everyone looked at the proctor wondering what was going to be the change to the tournament. As from here on out the exams shall be fought in this order. First round match 1, Uzumaki Naruto vs Hyuga Negi match 2, Nara Shikamaru vs Temari match 3, Gaara vs Kankuro match 4, Uchiha Sasuke vs Aburame Shino second round match 5, winner of match 6 vs Dosu match 6, winner of match 3 vs winner of match 4 match 7, winner of match 5 vs winner of match 2. Third round match 8, winner of match 6 vs winner of match 7. Everyone became restless after seeing the new lineup, especially the ones who were slated to fight. Sasuke is still stuck with Gaara. All that changed for me is that I have to fight the crazy bastard later than expected, thought Naruto. Me and the Naruto are on separate sides of the bracket. Depending on how things go, we will only face each other in the final round. I knew it was too much to hope that they would just opt me out of the competition altogether. If I wasn't going to drop out before, I definitely am now. There is no way in hell I am facing Gaara. The crowd were dealing with the news no better than the genin, except they took no care in keeping their thoughts to themselves. Quiet down everyone, we will now continue with the second match, announced the proctor. Will everyone please clear the floor and the next competitors please make your way to the arena. Sasuke and Naruto went up to the participant booth, while their sensei took a seat in the stands. Temari gracefully glided down on her fan, but it seemed there was no plans to join her from her opponent. Shikamaru just stared impassively at the sky, trying to ignore the stares he was getting from everyone. Is it worth going through all this trouble just to maybe get promoted? I'm sure the next exams will be way less challenging considering most of the ones here are from well-known clans, mused Shikamaru. Then again, is it worth dealing with my mother? Which is worse? Before Shikamaru had time to even begin to weigh his options, he was suddenly pushed off the railing from behind by an offending hand. Before he started to fall, he caught a glimpse of orange and yellow. Shikamaru was fast to recover and was able to hit the ground rolling to minimize the damage. Troublesome blondes, he sighed out as he began to stand up, dusting himself off. Now that the decision has been taken from me, I have to beat her. There is no way I am letting a girl beat me. Thus started the longest match many have ever saw, which was simultaneously boring and intriguing. The only thing keeping most of the audience awake was the leftover excitement from the last match, and the growing apprehension for the next ones. It is no surprise that the ending of the match came as a relief to most that was there. Shikamaru should have had no chance at all against that sand chick, thought Naruto. With her long-ranged offense and the proficient way she uses her fan, a strategist support type like Shikamaru should have been overwhelmed in an instant. Obviously, if she was aggressive the entire match she could have won earlier and on her own terms, but the fact Shikamaru was able to do anything at all, much less what he did, is kinda amazing. No matter how much reading I do, I don't think I can be that smart. The rest of those who were actually watching the match were similarly impressed, especially those around Shikamaru's sensei after he revealed the true depth of his students' intelligence. It was clear to many that Shikamaru had much of what's needed to progress to Chunin. All that remained was just the question of how he would handle the responsibility that came with it. The proctor stood again in the center of the arena to make his next announcement. Will Gaara and Kankuro now make their W-I forfeit? Everyone looked towards the hooded kid with makeup, wondering if he was serious. Despite the staring, the Sangenin sat down and made no move to explain himself. Displeasure rippled through the crowd, but it was only felt for a moment as all of them quickly remembered who was fighting in the next match. The non-existent match actually came as a blessing in disguise to a majority of the audience because it moved them right along to who they came to see, especially after having to sit through the second fight. Alright, let's see how much Sasuke improved. Okay, then started Hey 8. Winner by default, Gaara. Now can Uchiha Sasuke and Aburame Shino please come down to the arena? The crowd became restless as they saw a black-clad Uchiha from the booth to the floor. Shino walked calmly out from the stairs and met his opponent on the ground. The two competitors sized each other up. While the Uchiha it was impossible to tell what the Aburame shaded eyes were doing. The proctor looked at both contestants for a moment before he raised his hands. Let the fourth match begin. Instantly Sasuke ran through seals and shot a large ball of fire at Shino. Shino avoided it only to have to deflect projectiles with a kunai. Sasuke shot off to Shino so fast that Shino only had enough time to block the punch with his arms. The hit still pushed him back a few yards though and bruised him up quite a bit. Sasuke continued his offensive assault, not letting up even a second, while Shino did his best to dodge or block any blows. Sasuke apparently knows that Shino is a thinker too, and he isn't giving him any time to put a plan in place, thought Naruto. Naruto looked at Sasuke and noticed the red tint that he had to his eyes. It seems he knows about the bugs as well, and is making sure he avoids them with his Sharingan. Shino isn't an up-close and personal fighter like Sasuke is making this fight, and will be crushed sooner than later. Naruto could tell Sasuke wasn't going all out as well. Despite what Naruto thought, the match wasn't over as quick as he expected. He had to give credit to Shino, he was able to draw out the match as long as he did, even though he was clearly outmatched. Shino even almost had caught Sasuke in a trap, by using a bug clone in place of himself, and if he was facing most other genin he probably would have been able to win. Eventually Shino took one too many hits, and ended the match himself. You could tell he didn't have enough energy to keep up the match much longer. The winner of the match is Uchiha Sasuke, announced the proctor to a crowd of cheers, no doubt pleased to finally see the last Uchiha in action. Personally Naruto thought his match was better than that, but whatever. Naruto let his eyes scan the booth and land on Dosu, his next opponent. Frankly speaking, he was a bit underwhelmed by him. Naruto had to go on and fight Temari, Gaara, and Sasuke. Compared to them, Dosu was a bit lacking. Naruto then let his eyes rest on Dosu's jacket, which was hiding his arms. All he had going for him was his fancy arm, and that really isn't anything special. Naruto decided that he would have to end it fast if he wanted to conserve energy for his more difficult fights. Just before Naruto looked away, the Sound Genin met his eyes and gave him a scornful stare, but Naruto just brushed it off. Will Uzumaki, Naruto and Dosu please make their way to the floor? Naruto finished his musings and jumped down into the arena, this time having a much more graceful landing than before, even if it wasn't as cool. Dosu wasn't too far behind Naruto, and within a minute they were facing each other, ready for the match to start. Naruto in a position to react to anything, and Dosu with most of his body still covered by his jacket. If both competitors are ready, said the proctor. Then let the match begin. Before Naruto could even blink, Dosu took his melody arm out and smashed his fist into the ground, sending a shockwave bursting through the surrounding area. Naruto quickly jumped back to avoid the unexpected attack. The ground around the Dosu broke up, and a distinct whistling was heard in the air. For Naruto, there was no doubt that more than just his hearing would have been damaged if he was in range of the impact. Give up now, taunted Dosu. I would hate for the crowd to see your body imploded into tiny pieces. Naruto, now a good distance from Dosu, noticed that something was different about his foe from the last time he saw him. It took him no time at all to see that it was his arm, and how it looked bigger and deadlier than before. "I see you have noticed the new features to my arm," remarked Dosu. "After my comrade was defeated in the preliminaries, I felt that he could still contribute even if he couldn't manage to get here. Not only can I amplify sound waves, but I can control the amount of air pressure. Then I can combine both and shoot it in a wave that affects all senses." Naruto did see that Dosu now appeared to have a hole in his one hand, which gave credence to his words. Dosu's previous ability added to that of his teammate made a dangerous combination. It probably had the potential to incapacitate many higher-ranked shinobi if even grazed by a blast. It seemed the spectators came up with the same conclusion, because they became rowdy at the thought of another interesting match. Several of the ninjas watching started focusing more on the weapon than who was using it, understanding the possibilities able to be done with it. Kakashi looked down at his student in concern. He wasn't there to witness how Naruto overcame his first fight, but he knew this fight would require a completely different tactic. He wasn't aware how much Naruto had improved, but from what he knows of his genin, he couldn't help but worry. Naruto, on the other hand, wasn't worried at all. In fact, his plans didn't change at all, he only might just have to be more aggressive than he previously planned. He reached into his leg pouch and took out a single kunai in his hand. "That's nice and all, and while I am sure that you could probably hurt me a lot if you get me," Naruto got in position to launch off his feet. "You're not going to be able to touch me at all," and with that Naruto sped off straight to Dosu. "That idiot, what is he doing?" shouted Sakura. "Stupid like always," Sasuke said. "Is he really going to try the same thing he did with Neji?" said Tenten. "Yes. Show your youth, Naruto-kun," shouted in sync the two green monstrosities. "You must be dumber than I thought," said Dosu. He then pointed his arm at the approaching, decapitating echo airwaves. A violent blast of sound was shot towards Naruto at a remarkable speed. Naruto didn't look capable of changing his course in time, but just before the attack met him, Naruto appeared to shift several yards to the right, escaping the blast completely. "What the hell?" yelled Dosu. "Grrrrrrr. You think you're so fast? Eat this." Dosu stated to shoot wave after wave at Naruto, each altering in size and shape to try to catch the speeding shinobi. All of it was in vain though, for Naruto avoided them all, being able to move from side to side at high speeds. To the untrained eyes though, it looked as if he was appearing from one position to the next instead of zigzagging up the arena. "His speed might be faster than mine/Sasuke's, uttered Sasuke and Kakashi simultaneously. Everyone else who have already had a taste of his speed were still surprised at it, just not to the extent of the teacher and student duo. Dosu was getting worried after seeing all of his failed attempts to stop the blonde. He started gathering his chakra for a massive attack since he was desperate. Ag, Dai. Extreme decapitating echo drill. A giant wall of violent sound distorted the air and launched itself forward. It was so wide that it would be close to impossible to go around it in time. Naruto, seeing the devastating attack, started gathering wind-natured chakra into his right hand and coating the kunai with it. In no time the kunai was engulfed by a glowing layer of blue chakra. Up in the stands, Asuma narrowed his eyes. Just how far did he get in his nature manipulation? He even knows what his chakra nature is and how to use it to this extent. How much has Naruto actually grown in 1 month, wondered Kakashi. Naruto had no plans to dodge the next wave, but he didn't plan to get high by it either. Naruto unlocked all the seals he had restraining his and now started wrapping his whole body with a layer of wind so he could decrease air resistance. "This is the end for you." Dosu started laughing. "Did you really think you could J-dash?" Before everyone's very eyes, Naruto disappeared and reappeared a good distance behind Dosu. UST. Dosu eyes widened. WT? Many of the audience shared the same look. Even the majority of ninja there couldn't see all his movements. Even with him just going in a directly straight line. Only the top-level ninja could track Naruto with their eyes. I am possible?" Sasuke exclaimed to himself. He himself was in disbelief at the speed Naruto just showed. A loud screeching busted everyone from their astonishment. It whistled throughout the arena, originating from the center of it. Dosa slowly looked down at his melody arm and saw a very thin, long slash going up the entirety of it. The screeching seemed to increase in pitch every second. Your teammates, Naruto started, while turning towards Dosu. Shouldn't feel so lonely anymore. Dosu's eyes widened and he opened his mouth to say something. A boom! The weapon exploded, taking away one of Dosu's extremities and all his hearing away from him. It was a messy sight. Maybe that was a little cruel, thought Naruto. But then again, he did threaten and hurt my teammates, so I'm not really feeling sympathetic. Naruto looked up at the crowd and noticed that they were stunned quiet. It was either from his show of talent, or the sudden gruesome sight in full display at the center of the floor. Oops, hee hee. The crowd burst into noise again, roaring loud with excitement. Blood and gore only fuels their lust for entertainment. He's amazing, I'm not sure how he could do that. Another splendid match, looks like I might have to change my bets. It looks like this is turning out to be a wonderful contest. The winner of the match is Uzumaki Naruto, the proctor unnecessarily said. The stadium was in this state for close to 10 minutes before they were able to get Dosu and clean up the arena. Will Uchiha Sasuke and Gaara please make their way to the arena, and can all prior competitors clear the floor? Naruto, who was already back in the booth, got serious when he heard the announcement. I know he trained with Sensei for a month, Naruto worried. But is he good enough to stop Gaara? Gaara and Sasuke were now in the arena, and the match was started. Hopefully, thought Naruto, this won't end bad. God damn it. It ended bad. The match started okay, with Sasuke using his superior speed and skill to overcome Gaara's sand defense and took command of the match. The problem came when Gaara engulfed himself inside of a large sand cocoon ball, and not only was it hard to penetrate, but his sand became more aggressive than usual. Sasuke used some badass lightning move, which Naruto was definitely not jealous of, to get through the sand. There was a scream, and then after that things went batshit crazy. Feathers started falling, the Hokage booth exploded in smoke, the sand ninja started working together with the sound to attack the leaf, and two Sangenin took Gaara away to who knows where with Sasuke following on their tails. Naruto kind of wished that the match did ended with Sasuke losing. It would have been a way better outcome than all of this happening. Naruto knew that it would have still happened sooner or later though. Naruto. Naruto turned around to see his sensei calling to him. Naruto ran over to him, where he saw Shikamaru and Shino standing nearby. Yes, Kakashi-sensei? Naruto listened carefully. You must chase after Sasuke to make sure he doesn't die, and stop whatever the Sangenin are up to. Kakashi said in the same tone he used when they first faced Zabuza. I am giving you your first S-rank mission, take this extremely serious. He stared at all of us to see if we understood the weight of the situation. Once he was satisfied he said, now hurry. Kakashi then jumped into the battle raging around them. Alright. Let's go save the day. Naruto said, pounding his fist into his palm. Shino just pushed his glasses up. Man, what a drag. Naruto was alone again, but at least this time he knew where the Sand siblings were and had caught up to them. Shikamaru opted to stay behind to deal with some ninjas that were following them, and Shino stayed behind to fight with Makeup Boy, leaving him to chase after the rest by himself. He could actually see Sasuke not that far up ahead, and a little beyond that he could see the remaining siblings. It looks as though Gaara is a little unstable though, and considering his normal state, that was really saying something. Naruto quickly jumped ahead until he was neck and neck with Sasuke. What are you doing here, idiot? Glared Sasuke. I came to help stop Gaara, Naruto responded. No you're not, this is my fight. If you want to do something, you can get the blonde girl out of the way. Sasuke, the exams are over, you saw what was happening back in the village, it's bigger than just some petty fight. Don't get in my way, Sasuke started to speed ahead. Before Naruto could follow suit, he had to jump down to the ground to avoid a strong gust of wind. Naruto then jumped up when a wide arch of wind was sent towards him. Naruto landed on a branch of a high tree, and a second later he was joined by the blonde Sangenin Tamari. Where do you think you're going? Asked the girl. I don't have time for this right now, begged Naruto. Can we please do this later? Oh really, did you think I was going to make it that easy for you? Questioned Temari as she lifted her fan up. She swung her fan hard and a blast of wind came right at Naruto. Swiftly he made a sign, then he raised his hands. Great breakthrough, both winds met in the middle and collided. The resulting wind blew several branches off trees and almost dislodged the ones they were on. Temari didn't let up though, she swung her fan 3 more times, but not as strong as the first one. 3 balls of air shot at Naruto fast, but he was prepared. He made a single hand sign again, and slammed his stomach with his hand 3 times, and each time he did a blast of air would come out of his mouth. They just cancelled out the other's attack again. Naruto pulled out several explosive kunai, and he dropped all of them lit. Temari exclaimed. What are you CRA-BOOM? Naruto was no longer there, and was once more headed towards Sasuke and Gaara. He was using the smoke of the explosion as a distraction and cover. He hoped that it would take a while for Temari to regain her bearings and catch up. Just as he is thinking that, a harsh wind slams into him, and sends him flying from the branches. Come on, what do you think I am? 5. You are going to have to try better than that. I will. Huh? Poof. What now? Temari said when she saw the clone disappear. Fire style, fireball jutsu, a huge fireball comes shooting towards her, and she swung a gale of wind at it by reflex. When the attacks hit each other, they exploded and smoke filled the whole area. Temari was trying to use her fan to dissipate the smoke, but before she could get it all out, something jumped out of the smoke and grabbed her. Naruto slammed her back into a tree and brought her face to his knee. Then she was unconscious. Naruto jumped off the branch and wiped himself off of the smoke. Hag. What is that? It sounded like it came from the direction Sasuke and Gaara went. Shit. I need to get there fast. Naruto saw something giant rising in the distance. It was a little bigger than the boss toad. It looked fearsome from this far. Naruto could only imagine what it was like up close. He had a feeling he would find the people he was looking for over there. He just needed to get over there right now, before that thing crushes them. Naruto felt a hot tug from his navel looking at the monster. I'm finally free. The beast screamed in pleasure. Here I come, baby. I forfeit.
That's it for today. Remember to show your support to the creator of this story if you enjoyed it. If you would like more parts of the story to be uploaded, leave a comment and subscribe to get notified when the story continues. Bye-bye for now, and I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your day.